From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, The Roads Must Roll, by Robert Heinlein.
Hear them hum, watch them run. Oh, our job is never done, for our roadways go rolling along. While you ride, while you glide, we are watching down in sight, so your roadways keep rolling along. Oh, it's hi, hi, he, the roader men are we. Check off the sectors loud and strong. 1, 2, anywhere you go. You are bound to know that your roadways keep rolling along. Keep it rolling! That your roadways keep rolling along.
It was in the middle 1950s that the automotive age began to die. The traffic engineers had long expected it. For years, they had watched our vast cities sprawl and spread out, spill over into the countryside, become more and more dependent on motor transportation. And then, finally, the inevitable breaking point was reached. The growing flood of cars and buses and trucks began to swamp the streets and arterial highways. The building of roads could no longer keep pace. The superhighways, clogged, congested, became packed with cars stalled bumper to bumper. And the cities began to die of slow strangulation, where the traffic could no longer roll. And then the engineers took over. They banned the automobiles, tore up the superhighways, and in their place they built the rolling roads, mechanized roads that moved like huge conveyor belts, whirling along on their giant rotors at speeds ranging from 5 to 100 miles an hour, carrying the freight, the food, and the people from city to city and coast to coast. And no one worried over the fact that if the road should ever stop, our whole economic life would stop. For the machinery had never failed yet. But people forgot that machinery depends on men, the men who run it.
Who makes the roads roll? We do! That's right, the engineers. We're the brains of the road. And where would the public be if we didn't keep the roads rolling? Right behind the 8 ball, and everybody knows it. All right, then. We're the men who hold the power, and it's time we started using it. We've called this meeting of the Engineers Control Committee because that's what we want to do. Control. Because I'm tired of taking orders from the Transport Commission, from slick desk jockeys like Jim Gaines, who don't even know a rotor bearing from a field corn. Now let Gaines yammer about our duty to the public. That's a lot of eyewash. We've got the power, and we're the men that count. Now it's time we quit fiddling around and use a little direct action to get what we want.
Mr. Chairman! Mr. Chairman!
The chair recognizes Brother Harvey of the Transport Mechanics Union.
Thanks. Now, I don't rightly belong here since I'm no engineer. I'm just here to represent the workers' union. But I want to know what's all the shouting for. You engineers have got better working conditions than we have, and we ain't kicking. You say the engineers are powerful. You say you can tie up the roads. Well, so can any screwball with a jar of nitroglycerin. And he wouldn't need no engineer's degree to do it, neither.
Harvey, are you speaking for your union now, or are you here as a stooge for the Transport Commission?
Listen, Van Cleek, I helped found my union. I led the strike in 75 for decent working conditions. Where were you engineers then? With the finks!
Brother Harvey, remember, you're only a guest at this meeting. Go on, Van.
Now, listen, man. I'm one of the old engineers on the roads. You all are, worked up the hard way. We didn't go to the fancy technical institutes like those young punk cadet engineers the commission is training to take over our jobs unless we do something to stop them. Jim Gaines hasn't been able to fill us full of the old school spirit and that baloney about how the roads must roll. So all right then. Why don't we get smart for a change? What would happen if the roads stopped rolling? Maybe the country would begin to realize that they can't do without us. Maybe we'd begin to get the things we want. Who says the roads must roll?
Yes?
Your wife is calling, Mr. Gaines.
Put her on.
Jim, I want you to stop off on your way home.
I'm sorry, darling, I can't make it.
But you promised.
I know, but Washington called in. They're sending Evans, the Australian Minister of Transport, through my sector today. I've got to show him through personally.
Can't somebody else?
I'm chief supervisor. Wouldn't be courteous.
Courtesy begins at home. I've planned this dinner for weeks.
Honey, the roads must roll.
Oh, if you quote that nauseating slogan at me again, I'll divorce you.
I can't help it, darling. I'll meet you at Stockton at 9 and we'll take in a show. Kiss Alan goodnight for me.
Well, all right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Mr. Evans is here.
Show him in. Well, good evening, Mr. Evans. I'm Gaines, chief engineer.
How do you do, Mr. Gaines? They told me at the embassy you'd be the man to see. I want to know how the roads work.
I think we can handle that.
Well, I'm not a technical man, Mr. Gaines. My field is sociology. So, suppose you tell me about the roads as if I were entirely ignorant.
Fine. It's nearly at dinner time. Suppose we run up to Stockton sector for dinner. It'll take us about an hour on the roads, and you can see them working.
Excellent.
If you'll excuse me a minute.
Certainly.
Hi, Chief. What can I do for you?
Dave, you're on evening watch, eh?
Uh-huh.
Where's Van Cleek?
Going to some meeting.
I'm going up to Stockton for dinner. Anything to report?
No, sir. The roads are rolling.
Okay. Keep them rolling. All right, Mr. Evans. Let's go. This is the low-speed strip. Ever ridden a conveyor before?
No.
It's quite simple. Remember to place the motion of the strip as you get on. There. We'll go right across. Each adjoining strip is a few miles an hour faster than the one next to it. Freight is carried on the 50-mile strip, most passenger traffic on the express strip. All right, now watch your step. Here we are, the maximum speed.
100 miles an hour. It doesn't seem possible.
This strip makes the round trip San Diego to Reno in 12 hours. Ready to eat?
Is this the restaurant?
Jake's Steakhouse. Fastest meal on the road.
Is it really a proper restaurant?
One of the best. Shall we go in?
Hello, Mr. Gaines. We don't see you much out on the road.
Busy in the office, Jake.
Two? Right this way. What'll it be?
You order.
Well, how about a steak? 2 inches thick from a steer that died happy.
Fine. Plug me in the phone, will you?
There's one right next to you. Flank 2, rare.
You'll excuse me, Mr. Evans?
Certainly.
Davidson on watch.
This is the chief. I'm at Jake's Steakhouse. You can reach me at 10L66.
10L66, right.
Yeah. Now they can get hold of me in an emergency.
Oh? What kind of emergency could there be?
2, principally. Power failure on the roaders would bring the road to a standstill. That happened during rush hour. We'd have to evacuate millions of people from the road.
As many as that?
Easily. There are 12 million people dependent on this section of road. Gaines here.
Hello, Chief. Davidson. Just got the hourly reports in. Diego Circle, Bakerfield Sector, Stockton Sector, and Reno Circle all rolling.
Oh, you didn't have to bother me with the hourlies, Dave.
There's a supplementary from Sacramento.
Proceed.
Cadet Engineer Gunther, while on watch, was found playing cards with C.J. Ross, technician on duty.
Any damage?
One rotor running hot, but still synchronized. It was jacked down and replaced.
All right, have the paymaster give Ross his time and turn him over to civil authorities. Place Cadet Gunther under arrest and bring him to Rotown Central.
Yes, sir.
All right. Keep him rolling. I was saying there were 2 possibilities of danger. Can you visualize what would happen if the strip under us would break?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. You don't realize you're traveling at 100 miles an hour.
Well, it can't. Not now. The strip has a safety factor of over 12 to 1. It'd take a blowout of several miles of rotors and a failure of circuit breakers before the strip could part. But it happened once in the early days on the Philadelphia-Jersey City road. The strip wasn't much more than a conveyor belt. It buckled for miles, crushing passengers against the roof. Forward section in front of the brake spilled them down under into the rotors and rollers.
Oh. Was it very bad?
Over 3,000 people were killed in that break. But the roads had to go on. The entire economic system hangs on the roads. If they stopped now, the country would starve.
Well, isn't it possible that you've become too dependent on these roads? I mean, if your whole economy is geared to the function of one type of machinery...
The roads are foolproof now. The machinery is interlocked with an enormous safety factor.
Yes, but in the long run, machinery depends on men. What if you had a strike?
We had one back in 75. Well, there's not much danger of that anymore.
No? Well, why not?
Every cadet that goes to work on the roads today is a graduate of the United States Transport Academy. They're all picked men, screened for emotional stability, and trained to give us the same kind of loyalty that Annapolis and West Point develop in their men.
I see. Are you a graduate, Mr. Gaines?
No, I'm too old for that. The academy wasn't set up till after the strike in 75. But it won't be long now, maybe 5 or 10 years, before the oldest engineer on the roads is a man who's been through the academy. Gaines here.
Davidson, there's another trouble report from Sacramento sector.
Again? What is it this time?
What is it? What happened?
Emergency stop. Hello. Hello, Davidson. Phones are out. Come on. Jake! Jake!
What is it? What's the matter with the roads?
Have everybody stay in the restaurant.
What's that?
Probably somebody stepped onto the next strip. Got cut to ribbons. There'll be plenty of casualties. Jake, where's your getaway hat?
In the pantry.
Look here, aren't we going to help those people?
I've got the whole road to think of. Don't bother me. Give me a hand, Jake. The hatch is stuck. If you're coming with me, Mr. Evans, you've got to move fast. I haven't got any time to waste.
Where are we now?
Freeway on top of the inner road ceiling. That's the outer shell over us.
Are we going outside?
No, there'll be an access down manhole over here. They're spaced every 100 feet. There, by the green light. Now, this will get us down on the northbound road. Careful, it's dark. Now stand away from the door, Evans.
Yes. But this road is still rolling.
It was only the 100-mile strip that stopped. There's what I want, a phone booth. Look out, excuse me. Look out.
Hey,
out.
Hey, I'm talking to my wife. What's the idea
Don't
of
argue.
busting in here?
Out.
Yeah, but
Emergency priority, division office.
Davidson.
Gaines here, report.
Chief, where have you been? I've been calling you.
Never mind that, report.
709, consolidated tension. Report strip 20, Sacramento sector, past emergency level. Interlocks acted and cut the strip out. Cause of failure unknown. Direct communication cut to Sacramento Control Office. Evacuation of strip 20 commenced. No casualties.
There are casualties. I saw them. Put police and hospital routine A into operation. Get me Van Cleek. I want him to take over for me till I report in.
We can't reach him, Chief. Shall I cut out the rest of the road?
No. Keep those other strips rolling or we'll have a traffic jam the devil himself couldn't untangle. There are 5 million passengers on the road now. Notify the governor that I have assumed emergency authority. Arm all cadets available and await orders.
Shall I recall technicians off
No.
watch?
This isn't an engineering failure. That whole sector went out simultaneously. Somebody cut those rotors by hand. I want all available senior class cadets to report to Stockton Subsector, Office 10, with pistols and tear gas.
Yes, sir. The governor wants to talk to you. He called in.
Refer him to someone else. I'm busy. I'll get back to you. I'm going down under. Evans! Evans!
I can't hear you. The noise.
Put on this helmet.
What?
Helmet! Helmet!
Oh, yes.
You can't hear without an anti-noise filter. Come on.
What are we looking
A
for?
recon car. There should be one here.
Are those the rotors?
Now, the big ones are rotors. They drive the road. Little ones are rollers. They give continuous support. There's a watch gang now, jacking down a rotor.
Can they hear us?
No, the noise filter works on a 4-foot radius. I'll flash him. Now, he sees the light.
Cadet Wilson reporting, sir.
I want your recon car. Emergency.
Yes, sir. Right over here, sir.
Come on, Evans.
Yes.
Get in.
But it's so small.
You'll fit all right. You can take off your noise filter now. Hang on, she accelerates like a rocket.
Ooh, my stomach.
Relay station.
This is Gaines. Get me Davidson, senior watch officer.
Mr. Gaines, the mayor wants to talk to you.
I haven't got time. Get me Davidson. And leave this circuit hooked into Davidson's board until I tell you to cut it.
Yes, sir. Here is the senior watch officer.
Davidson.
Gaines calling. Have you found out yet what's stopping the roads?
No, sir. It's still a mystery to me.
All right. I'm on my way in a recon car. Hold everything till I get there.
Cadet Edmonds reporting, sir. 3 platoons of cadet engineers standing by with tumblebug motorcycles.
Armed?
Pistols and tear gas as ordered, sir.
Good.
Assistant Supervisor Van Cleek is calling you on Circuit 9, sir.
Van Cleek, it's about time. Cut me in.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Van. Where are you?
Sacramento office. Now listen.
Sacramento. That's good. Report.
In a pig's eye.
What?
I'm not your deputy anymore, Gaines.
What are you talking about?
Listen, don't interrupt me and you'll find out. You're through, Gaines. I've been picked as director of the Engineers Control Committee. We're taking over.
Have you gone off your rotor?
We stopped Strip 20 just to give you a taste of what we can do. We're running things now.
And you don't really think you can get away with this?
You can't start Strip 20 until I'm ready to let you. I can stop the whole road if I have to.
Van Cleek, I'll call in the Army.
How will you get 'em here if the roads aren't rolling? Now listen, Gaines. Whoever controls the roads controls the country. And right now, that happens to be me. Now sign off, Gaines. Gotta call the White House. You behave yourself and you won't get hurt.
I don't believe it, sir.
He's got us, Edmonds. If we go in and blast him out, he may wreck the road. What's your rolling tonnage now?
53% under evening peak, sir.
How about Strip 20?
Almost evacuated.
Listen in on this, Davidson.
Standing by, Chief.
I'm going down inside with these cadets. We'll work north, overcoming any resistance that we may meet. The watch technicians and maintenance crews are to follow behind us. Each rotor, as they come to it, is to be cut out from under Sacramento's control, then hooked into the Stockton control board. Understand?
Got it.
Check.
If it works right, we can move control of Sacramento sector right out from under Vance's feet, and he can stay in his office there till he's hungry enough to be reasonable. Edmonds, get me a pistol.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gaines, there's a man here. He's badly hurt. He wants to see you.
Take care of him. I haven't got time.
He's from Sacramento sector.
What? Bring him in.
All right. Easy. Easy.
Mr. Gaines.
You're Harvey from the Mechanics Union, aren't you?
I tried to warn you. I tried to get away. He shot me 3 times.
Get a doctor. All right. Easy, Harvey. How long's this been building up?
Is it the men? It's the engineers. I told them they were crazy. Told them the road's got to roll. When I tried to get away, they...
He's bleeding from the mouth, sir.
Harvey. Harvey, can you hear me?
He's dead, Mr. Gaines.
Come on, Edmonds. We better move.
Hey,
All right, you men. You saw Harvey brought in. How many of you want a chance to kill the louse that did it? Very well. You men turn in your weapons and return to quarters. We've got a job to do, to make sure the roads start rolling again. We haven't got time for infantile heroics. Anybody who hasn't got his mind on his job will be in the way. Now, here's the order. We move north, mounted on tumblebugs. We're going to try to regain control, rotor by rotor, before Sacramento sector knows we're moving. We've got to capture any watch personnel we run on before they can get word back. Surprise is vital. Use tear gas when possible. Shoot only when necessary. But get them before they can reach a phone jack. Any questions? No. Then move out. What's the score, Edmonds?
33 prisoners so far, nobody killed.
Whoops. Yes, since I rode one of these tumblebugs, I've gotten how to steer it.
Oh, sir, there's a man ahead. There at the rotor base.
He's got a phone jacked in. Hurry. If he gets word back, we're sunk.
I don't think he's seen us. I'll dismount and get him.
Quick, he sees us.
Here, you.
Look out, he's got a gun.
Oh, I got him.
Grab his gun.
Yes, sir.
You had a phone jacked in, all right. We got through to Sacramento office. It's going to be tough.
I don't know, sir. Maybe he didn't get the call through.
Wait a minute. Listen.
The road.
Take off your noise filter. There. The road. The road is stopping. Halt your men.
Halt. Hold up there. Hold up.
There's a recon car coming up.
Relay station call from Mr. Gaines.
Give it to me.
Here you are, sir.
Gaines here.
Davidson here, Chief. Van Cleek's calling you.
Who stopped the road?
He did.
All right. Cut Van Cleek into me.
You thought I was fooling, huh, Gaines? What do you think now?
All right, Van, the road is stopped. You won this trick.
Then why don't you get smart and give up? You can't win.
You forgot something, Van. You can't lick the whole country.
Yeah? Gaines, I've got a switch button in my hand. If I push it, it'll blow 300 yards straight across the roads. And then, for good measure, I'll take an axe and wreck the control station before I leave.
That's pretty drastic, Van.
Yeah, if I blow this charge in the middle of Sacramento sector, it'll get an awful lot of people. There are plenty of shopkeepers still on Strip 20, and that row of apartment houses next to the road will go.
Look, Van, you don't want to blow the road, neither do I. Suppose I come up to your headquarters and talk this over. 2 reasonable men ought to be able to make a settlement.
Is this some kind of a trick?
I'll come alone and unarmed. My men will stay here.
All right. All right, Gaines. But one wrong move, and I blow the road.
We've got to hurry, Dave. If I take too long, Van Cleek will get edgy and set off that charge.
Failure report notes?
1, strips must be cross-connected with safety interlocks, so that when one dies, the others slow down. 2, the men.
I can't understand it. Psych tests are rigid. We've never had a failure in the Hum-Wadsworth-Burton method. And then suddenly a whole sector goes sour. How could Van Cleek get a whole crew of psych-cleared men to revolt?
It's easy, Dave. As my deputy, he was ex-officio personnel officer for the whole road. He must have been faking psych records for years and transferring maladjusted men into his sector.
I've got that personnel record, Mr. Gaines.
Man's record. Masked introvert. Inferiority rating 7. Comment. Despite a potential instability shown on Wadsworth Curve, this officer is especially adept in handling men. He's adept, all right. I haven't got time for any more, Dave.
You're not going up there to Sacramento office.
I've got to.
He'll be armed. He'll kill you.
I've got to take that chance.
But unarmed? Why don't you call in the Army? He won't dare blow the road
Yes,
down.
he would. Look at that psych record. He's putting up a big, brave front, but he's rotten inside. He wants to be taken seriously. He wants everybody to think he's the most dangerous man in the country. And if I call the Army in, he'll try to prove it by blowing the road.
How can you stop him, Mr. Gaines? He'll have a gun. What'll you have?
What'll I have? Only a prayer. And what I know about Mr. Van Cleek.
All right, Gaines. Director Van Cleek will see you now. Gaines is here, Director Van Cleek.
Come in, Gaines. Behaving sensibly at last. You know I've got you where I want you, and there isn't anything you can do about it.
I searched him, Director. He's unarmed.
Mm-hmm. I want you to sign this now. It's a declaration of your recognition of the Engineers Control Committee. You've got 1 minute to sign it, Gaines, or I'll push this button and blow up the whole sector.
You better sign, Gaines.
You need this gorilla with the gun, Van?
Hey, you
Can't
listen...
you handle one unarmed man alone?
All right, Harry, out.
What?
Out? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now sign. What's so funny?
You are. You start a revolution because you think the engineers should control the road. Then when you've got control, the only thing you can think of to do is blow it up. Tell me, what are you so scared of?
I'm not scared.
Yeah? Sitting there sweating all over that push button you're holding? Your buddies knew how afraid you were. They'd probably throw you into the rotors.
I'm not afraid.
You're afraid of me right now. You're afraid I'll have you on the carpet. You're afraid the cadets won't salute you. You're afraid they're laughing at you behind your back.
No, I'm not. Now, you keep quiet. I've got a gun.
You're afraid of using the wrong fork at dinner. You're afraid people are looking at you, laughing at you.
I am not, you dirty, stuck-up snob. Just because you went to a high-hat school, you think you're better than anybody, you and your crummy little gold-braid cadets.
Van, you're a pathetic little shrimp.
Huh?
I understand you perfectly. You're a third-rater.
Oh.
All your life you've been afraid that someone would see through you and send you to the foot of the class.
Oh, yeah.
Throw you right out on your ear where you belong. I don't want to look at you anymore.
I'll show you. I'll put a bullet in you.
Put down that pop gun before you hurt yourself.
Don't you come near me. Don't you come near me or I'll shoot. I'll shoot.
Give me that.
No. Let me go.
Give that pistol. And thanks for not disappointing me, Van.
I don't understand.
I thought if I wounded your little ego, you'd forget to push that button and pull a trigger instead. I'm afraid you'll never make a good executive, Van. They have to know when to push buttons.
Davidson.
Gaines here.
Chief, are you all right?
Are you?
I'm all right. Attack now and mop up. I'll hold the control room. I've got Van Cleek, and I think his little revolution is just about over.
Hear them hum, watch them run. Oh, our job is never done, for our roadways go rolling along. While you ride, while you glide, we are watching down inside, so your roadways keep rolling along.
Mr. Gaines! Mr.
Gaines!
Mr. Evans, I forgot about you.
Yes, I've been waiting at the sector office. Is everything under control?
All rolling. Those are the watch engineers going under to check Sacramento's sector, inch by inch.
Remarkable organization. Remarkable.
Hourly's in, Chief. San Diego Circle rolling. Bakersfield, Fresno, Stockton.
Stockton? Oh, no.
What's the matter, Chief? Trouble, Mr. Gaines?
It sure is. I promised to meet my wife at Stockton for a show. She's been waiting there since 9 o'clock last night. Dave, see if you can get her for me. Try the sector office.
All right, Chief.
And Dave, see if you can calm her down.
Oh, sure, Chief. I'll tell her the roads must roll.
No, don't tell her that. I don't think she'd appreciate it. She's heard it too often.
Oh, it's I-I-E, the roller men are we.
I better get going. Bye, Dave. Keep them rolling.
Anywhere you go, you are bound to know that your roadways go rolling along. Keep them rolling, that your roadways go rolling along. Keep them rolling, that your roadways go rolling along. Keep them rolling, that your roadways go rolling along. Keep them rolling.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production. Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Nightfall, by Isaac Asimov.
Ralph Waldo Emerson speculated, if the stars should appear one night in 1,000 years, how would man believe and adore and perceive for many generations the remembrance of the city of God? This was philosophically interesting. But on the edge of the galaxy, a planet swings on its orbit in a cluster of 6 suns. These suns hang in the sky above. Never less than 2 shine down through the entire 23.8 hours of the planet's day. The yellow light has burned down on the planet continuously, into the past, till the mind of man runneth not to the contrary. Theremin was a reporter for the Sarro City Chronicle. He covered them all, from the night police beat to politics to the sports pages, and the city editor wanted him to cover the biggest story of the year, perhaps of all time. It was an interview, a particularly difficult interview. But then, since his first days as a cub, Theremin had specialized in difficult interviews. It cost him bruises, black eyes, and broken bones, but it had gotten him an ample supply of coolness and self-confidence. He didn't expect violence, though, from an astronomer.
You're from that newspaper?
Well, you got a lot of gall coming here?
Now, look, Dr. Aton, it's only a job.
I've read your paper. You've been writing this observatory for 2 months now. You've attacked me personally. I have nothing to say to you.
Well, this is your chance to get your side into the paper. Look, Dr. Aton, I'll give it to you straight. 2 months ago, the observatory issued a press statement that the world was coming to an end. Now, that's the same story the cult of the Book of Revelations had been preaching. Now, when a scientist backs that up, it's news.
Our conclusions have nothing to do with the cult. The cult is full of superstition and mysticism. We're scientists.
You've got the people pretty angry.
It doesn't matter.
If I can't get the story from you, I'll have to go somewhere else.
Go ahead.
The paper can be pretty rough on someone who doesn't cooperate, Dr. Aton.
Young man, if you're not out of the observatory within 5 minutes, I shall call the police. Now get out.
The reporter walks down the long hall from the observatory. The light filters through the high, clear-story windows. The yellow light of Gamma, the brightest of the 6 suns in the planet's sky. Beta is almost at zenith. Its red light floods the landscape to an unusual orange. The planet sun Alpha is at the antipodes. And now as Gamma sinks below the horizon, the red dwarf sun Beta is alone, grimly alone. It's a short drive from the observatory to Cerro City, and the red light glares from the highway. The temple of the cult stands hewn from the solid rock of the Dormite Mountains outside the city, and in the inner courtyard stands Sor, the priest of the cult.
Woe to the unbelievers! Their souls will rot with the absence of light.
Tell me, Your Reverence, what will happen? What are you waiting for here?
The day of the coming. It is written in the Book of Revelations. It came to pass the sun Beta was alone in the sky, and the world was shrunken and cold. And men did assemble in the public squares and highways. Their minds were troubled, and their speech confused. For the souls of men awaited the coming of the stars. And the lip of the cave of darkness passed the edge of Beta, and loud were the cries of men, and there was no light on the surface of the world. And in this blackness there appeared the stars in countless numbers, and in that moment the souls of men departed from them, and their abandoned bodies became even as beasts. From the stars then reached down the heavens flame, and where it touched, the cities of the world flamed to destruction, so that of man and all the works of man naught remained. So it is written.
Dr. Sharon, you're the only scientist I could find in the city. Where is everybody?
In the hideout.
The hideout?
Yes, but the place bored me. I wanted to be out here where things are getting hot. I want to see the stars the cultists are talking about. Besides, they don't want me at the hideout. I'm too scrawny to survive.
What is the hideout?
Well, we professors have managed to convince a few people that our prophecy of doom is valid. We've got about 3,000 people. They're supposed to hide where the darkness and the stars can't get at them. We hope they'll survive and leave the records.
Survive? Survive what?
Well, how true it is, I can't say, but the cultists say that every 2,050 years, all the suns disappear, and there is a total darkness, and then they say things called stars appear. Of course, men go mad. They mix all this up with a lot of religio-mystic notions, but that's the central idea.
But that's impossible, isn't it? I mean, there are always at least 2 suns in the sky, most of the time 4 or 5.
There aren't now. Only Beta.
You mean that there is going to be worldwide darkness tomorrow, that all mankind will go violently insane? What's behind that?
Well, for one thing, the history of civilization of the world. We have located a series of cycles of civilizations comparable to our own, all of which, without exception, were destroyed by fire at the very height of their culture.
But is there any scientific theory behind this which would explain it?
Well, the University Observatory finished their calculations 2 months ago. And tomorrow there will be an eclipse of Beta so that the planet will become dark. That eclipse comes every 2,049 years. Darkness. And maybe those mysterious stars that no man has seen. And then madness and the end of civilization.
And you expect to live through this at the hideout?
They plan to photograph the eclipse and leave the records. And then the rest of mankind will know what to expect.
Well, what is there in darkness to drive men mad?
Have you ever experienced darkness, young man?
Well, no, but I know what it is. It's just no light.
Oh. Draw the curtain.
Why, what for? If we had 4 or 5 suns out there, we might want to cut the light down for comfort, but with only Beta...
Ah, that's the point. Just draw the curtain and then come here and sit down.
All right. I can't see you.
Feel your way.
But I can't see you. I can't see anything.
Do you like it?
Oh, it's awful. The walls seem to be closing in on me. I keep wanting to push them away.
All right, all right. Draw the curtain back again.
Oh, the light. Do you have a drink?
Right here. Now, that was just a dark room.
Yes, but it wasn't really so bad.
You're afraid?
Just darkness could do that?
This isn't just a metaphysical theory, young man. It's promulgated from observed data. Well, come with me.
Where?
The locked wall down the corridor. Were you at the Cerro City Centennial Exposition 2 years ago?
I was overseas on assignment.
Well, you remember hearing about the tunnel of mystery that broke all records in the amusement area?
Oh, yes. Wasn't there some fuss about that? The Anti-Vice Society had it shut down.
Oh, it was shut down, all right. But the Blue Noses had nothing to do with it. That tunnel was nothing but a mile-long passage through darkness. You rode in a little car, and it took 15 minutes to get through. Oh, it was very popular while it lasted.
Popular?
Well, there's a fascination to be frightened when it's part of a game. Absence of light is one of the instinctive human fears. People came out of that 15 minutes of darkness shaking and half dead with fear.
Weren't there some deaths?
Oh, bad hearts, but that wasn't the big danger. Now, which key is this? Ah.
Where are we going?
You'll see. No, the heart attacks were actually good for business, but there was something else. Here, I'll show you. I want you to see somebody. Latimer. Latimer.
Go away.
Latimer, I want you to meet somebody. This is Mr. Theremin.
No, go away.
Hello?
He's pushing me. Make him stop pushing me. Go away.
I'm not touching him. What's wrong?
Latimer is afraid. Aren't you?
The walls. They're falling in on me. The walls. I've got to get out. I've got to get out. Let me out.
You can't go out, Latimer. It's all right.
I've got to get out. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out.
At sleeping period, we have to give him a shot of morphine. Otherwise, he'd bat his brains against the wall.
What's wrong with him?
Nothing. Nothing but 15 minutes in the darkness of the tunnel of mystery.
Oh, that's impossible.
1 person out of 10 came out of the tunnel that way. That's why we had it shut down.
But why should darkness do that?
It's obvious men cannot exist without light. Longer periods of darkness would obviously be fatal. The scientific theory is that the consciousness of light is necessary for mental activity.
Please, Doctor, let me outside. Let me out, please. I can't breathe. They're pushing me. They're always pushing me. I can't stand here.
Well, there you are, Theremin. That's what 15 minutes of darkness will do. Man just wasn't built to operate without light. There are always at least 2 suns in the sky, most of the time more.
Just 15 minutes of darkness.
Now, look out of that window. Imagine darkness everywhere. No light as far as you can see. Black. Everything black. And, stars, whatever they are. Can you conceive it? No, your mind wasn't built for that conception. When the real thing comes, you will go mad. Completely and permanently. There is no question of it. Tomorrow, there won't be a city left standing in the world.
Why should the cities be destroyed?
If you were in darkness, what would you want more than anything else? What would it be that every instinct would call for? Light. And how would you get light?
I don't know.
You'd burn something. They've got to have light. They've got to burn something. And every city in the world will go up in flames. Well, shall we go back to my office, Mr. Therriman, and have another drink?
Through the skies, the red sun Beta shines alone. The wind howls across the city. It is cold, colder than man can remember. And as the hour approaches, the reporter goes out and speaks to the man in the street.
Excuse me, where are you going now?
Home for supper.
How about, what are you going to do tonight?
Oh, you mean about this star stuff? Look, I'll tell you, mister, I got nothing against religion, see? But it don't stand to reason that the end of the world is going to come boom like that. It just don't stand to reason.
Have you read what the scientists say?
I don't read stuff like that, only the headlines.
Well, how about the cult?
Well, now, like I say, I've got nothing against religion.
But you don't believe them either.
They've always been shouting about doom and sin. Listen, when you've been around as long as I have, you get to know the score. It's all right to preach Judgment Day is coming and all that, but just the same, I'm putting money in the bank.
How about darkness?
About what?
How would you feel if there were no light?
You crazy. How could there be no light?
Well, suppose all the suns went down at once. Suppose everything was black.
That's crazy. What's the use of supposing something like that? It couldn't happen. It's crazy.
That's all. Thank you.
Sure. Oh, look, mister, remember, pallet with 2 L's?
All this talk of scientific explanation, it's sinful, that's what it is.
Are you a member of the cult, sir?
Sure I am. Been a member since I was a boy. My daddy was a member, too. I've seen the books. It's all written down in the books.
Don't you believe the scientists' explanation?
Don't need it. I'm going to save my immortal soul. I'm going to stay on the mountaintop in a white robe while the stars carry me away to glory. Blessed be the stars. Amen.
What are the stars?
The glory, the breath of the heavens, the spirit of the ultimate. That's what they are.
The observatory has announced that it intends to take pictures of the stars.
Blasphemy. I sold my house and gave all my money to the poor. Won't need it anymore. I'm going to heaven with the stars. Glory, glory, going with the stars.
The reporter checks the stock exchange, the stores, business at a standstill. Doesn't pay to buy anything today, not if the world is going to end tomorrow. There are predictions of economic collapse in the financial section, layoffs at the factories on the edge of the city. And through the streets, the people will mill and turn, unsure, crying in fear or shouting with bravado. The story isn't here in the city. And so, as the hour approaches, the reporter goes again to the observatory, high in the hills.
Look, Dr. Aton, if you are right, if the world is going to be destroyed, what is the difference if I stay here and observe and take notes?
Nothing, I suppose. You will be in the way. We have work to do.
If I stay out of the way.
Hello. Oh, this place is like a morgue. It's freezing outside. The wind is enough to hang icicles on your nose. Beta doesn't seem to give any heat at all, the distance it is.
Why aren't you in the hideout, Sharon?
Me? I'm part of the race that isn't worth perpetuating. Who's got a bottle?
There'll be no alcohol today. Be too easy to get my men drunk. I can't afford to tempt them. All right, Thurman, you can stay. Time we took our positions, the observatory dome is up these stairs.
After you. Ah! What is that?
Up in the dome, quick!
What is it?
It's the plates. The photographic plates are all smashed.
There he is. A cultist.
He's going for the telescope. After him.
All right, I've got him.
Let go! No. Let go must be destroyed! It must be!
It's all right. He didn't harm anything. Let him up.
Well, that's the high priest. I was talking to him yesterday.
All right. What do you want?
Nothing that you would give me of your own free will.
I made a bargain with the cult to give me certain data that you had. In return, I promised to prove the essential truth of the creed.
There was no need to prove that. It stands proven by the book of Revelations.
I offered scientific backing for you believers.
You made of the darkness and the stars a natural phenomenon and removed all its real significance. That was blasphemy.
The facts exist.
Your facts are a fraud and a delusion.
How do you know?
I know.
I suppose you think in trying to warn the world against the menace of madness, we are placing souls in jeopardy, huh? Well, we haven't succeeded, if that makes you feel better.
Your devilish instruments must be destroyed. We obey the will of the stars.
Someone call the police in Cerro City.
There's no time for that. Let me handle this. The eclipse is only a few minutes away. Look, you. Will you give your word of honor to cause no trouble?
I will not.
Listen. Just as soon as the eclipse starts, we're going to take you and put you in a closet with the door closed, and you will stay there. Then you won't see the darkness, and you won't see the stars. And that means the loss of your immortal soul, according to the cult. All right. Will you give your word of honor?
You have it. You will all be damned for your deeds of today.
Look at Beta.
The eclipse has started. You can see the blackness against Beta. Get busy on those cameras. Check the exposures very carefully.
You're shaking, Mr. Ferriman.
Yes, I don't feel very well.
You're not losing your nerve.
No, I'm just not used to it.
You could probably make the hideout.
I have been assigned to cover a story. I intend to cover it.
Oh, professional honor?
Yes.
Yes. Allah sofanet radrock. Allah sofanet.
What is that?
The cultist. That's the book of Revelations.
I don't understand it.
He is chanting some old cycle language. The book of Revelations was originally written in it. There are probably 2 million people in Cerro City who are trying to join the cult. One gigantic revival.
How do the cultists manage to keep the book of Revelations going from cycle to cycle if everyone goes mad? Who wrote the book?
There are some people who don't see the stars. The blind, those who drink themselves into a stupor, and children, to whom the world as a whole is too new and too strange for them to be frightened at stars and darkness. They would have memories, and that, combined with the confused, incoherent babbling of the mad, formed the basis for the book of Revelations. Oh, the cult will be riding high down there in the city. I hope they make the most of it.
Dr. Sharon, I just heard from the hideout on the private line.
Oh, they're in trouble?
They are safe, but the city is a shambles. You have no idea.
Well, it'll get worse. But what are you shaking about, Dr. Ayton? How do you feel?
You don't understand. The cultists are rousing the people to storm the observatory, promising them immediate entrance into grace, promising them salvation, promising them anything.
How long till the total eclipse?
An hour.
Well, it's a gamble. It will take time to get a mob out here. If the darkness comes first, we're all right. Oh, look at Beta.
It's cut in half. Half of it is black.
Yes, it's getting darker. An interesting phenomenon. Oh, my collar is suddenly tight. Are you having any difficulty in breathing?
No, why?
Difficulty in breathing is one of the first symptoms. We have experimented.
I'm cold. It seems to be getting colder.
Yes, so we'd better keep our minds on something else. One of the astronomers has a theory about the stars, far away to see in the light. He developed a fantasy about a planet revolving around one sun. It's a mathematical possibility. Of course, there couldn't be any life. Part of the planet would always be dark and without light. Well, it's obvious. Without light, there can't be any life.
It's time for the artificial light. We can't read the instruments.
Artificial light?
One of the researchers at the university worked it out.
Why, it's beautiful. Yellow light. After 4 hours of red. It's beautiful. Light. Light.
The dome is quiet. The priest in his yellow robe sways slowly as his lips move in the ancient tongue. Over and over, he whispers the invocation to the stars. The technicians hunch over the instruments, and the sky gradually turns a horrible deep purple red, and the air grows denser. Dusk, like a palpable entity, enters the room, and the dancing circle of yellow light about the torches etches itself into ever sharper distinction against the ever-gathering grayness beyond. Outside, Beta is a mere smoldering splendor, taking a last look at the world. The western horizon, in the direction of the city, is lost in darkness, and along the highway to the observatory surges a menacing, shadowy mass.
Mob from the city, they're coming.
How long till total eclipse?
15 minutes. But they'll be here in 5.
We'll hold them off. Come on, Theremin, downstairs.
But there's no light down there.
We have to block the door. Come on.
I can't breathe. I can't go down there.
Take a torch. We'll take light with us. Come on. Aiton.
I'm here. Did you bar the door?
They won't get in.
All right, now, everybody. 1 minute till totality. 1 minute. Just before totality, I'm changing the plate. That will leave one of you for each camera. You know all about times of exposure. Now, remember, don't try to look for good shots. And if you feel yourself going, get away from the camera.
It's dark. It's getting dark.
Sharon. Sharon, where are you? I can't see you, Sharon.
I'm right here.
30 seconds.
Look out. The priest.
I can't see him.
And the wicked shall perish, and the souls of the true believers shall be transported in glory to the stars.
You can see him against the torch.
Don't let him get to the
From
telescope.
the stars there reach down a heavenly flame, and where it touched the cities of the world, flame to utter destruction.
Grab him!
You shall not blaspheme! The world must be destroyed by the stars! It must be! Let me go!
I'll take care of him.
The stars! The stars!
5 seconds to totality. 4, 3, 2, 1.
The sky is black, and through it shine the stars. 30,000 minute suns shine down in a soul-searing splendor. It is more frightening in its awful indifference than the bitter wind that shivers across the horrible, cold, bleak world.
The stars. The stars. The stars. It's dark. 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 The walls. The walls are coming in on me. They're coming in. Light. Light. Light.
Darkness. Forever.
Light.
And ever. And ever.
Light.
And the walls are breaking in. We did not know. We did not know. We did not know.
On the horizon, in the direction of the city, a crimson glow begins growing. 1,000 fires strengthen in brightness that is not the glow of the sun. 1,000,000 fires, as a world mad in the darkness screams in terror for the light. The night has come again.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Nightfall by Isaac Asimov, adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Wendell Holmes, John Larkin, Santos Ortega, Mercer McLeod, Alan Collins, Bob Hastings, and Roy Fent. Your narrator was Floyd Mack. Fred Collins speaking. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
It's groomed for your interests. Weekday NBC Radio.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents X-1.
Tonight's story, Requiem by Robert Heinlein. On a high hill in Samoa, there is a grave. Inscribed on the marker are these words:
Under the wide and starry sky, dig my grave and let me lie. Gladly did I live and gladly die, and I lay me down with a will. This be the verse you grave for me. Here he lies where he longed to be. Home is the sailor, home from the sea, and the hunter, home from the hill.
These lines appear another place, scrawled on a shipping tag from a compressed air container, and pinned to the ground with a knife. It wasn't much of a fair as fairs go. The trotting races wouldn't be held till 8 o'clock at night. The flags and bunting drooped in the gray afternoon, and the pitchmen seemed discouraged. A large black limousine stood at the side of the road, 32 cylinders purring quietly. And over the dust and the clatter of the fair, a bullhorn blasted the highest pitch.
Hurry, 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 this way to the moon rocket, the moon rocket. See it fly, the actual type rocket used by the first man to see it fly. Chills, thrills, the romance of space. You can ride in it for only $25. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Hey, Charlie, have you got that feed tube patched?
I welded it. Good for maybe an hour.
What a crowd. They wouldn't risk a nickel to see the sun blow up.
Oh, Captain, excuse me,
Yeah?
Captain.
Oh, yes, sir. 50 cents to inspect the rocket. One?
Could you take a passenger this trip?
You mean you want to go up? $25.
That's right.
Yes, sir, right away. Charlie, take the pitch. Step this way, sir. Look out for the feed lines.
Oh, yes, I see them.
Hey, Doc. Passenger for a checkup.
Okay, Mac.
Well, is this necessary?
Regulations.
Take off your coat, open your shirt, roll up your right sleeve.
All right.
How are things, Mac?
Slow. We're not drawing as much as the cooch tent.
It'll pick up tonight with the trotters.
I'm ready, Doctor.
All right, give me your arm. All right, breathe in. Breathe. Breathe. Sorry, Mac.
No go, Doc?
Cardiac condition I couldn't certify. I'm sorry.
You mean you won't take me up?
He's the doctor.
Well, I rather expected it.
Sorry. Between you and me, we could have used the 25.
Excuse me, Captain.
Yeah?
Could you and your engineer have dinner with me after your flight?
Dinner?
At my home. My car's over there.
That's your car? The limousine?
That's right.
You serious, Mac? You want Charlie and me for dinner?
Of course.
Okay. Okay. Don't see why not. Thanks. Charlie, you had enough.
Lay off, Mac.
Oh, that's perfectly all right, Captain McIntyre. Cigar?
Thanks.
Light?
Well, thanks.
Yes, it's hard for me to see why any holder of a master's ticket would quit the Earth-Moon run.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, don't hand us that. It was Rule G washed you out.
All right, so I took a few drinks.
Tell me, gentlemen, are you satisfied with what you're doing now?
Are you kidding? We've been pushing the old junk heap for a year. Half the time, the sheriff has an attachment on the ship for a fuel bill. It stinks.
Would it help you to get back to the moon?
Well, sure. I could get a short-haul job hopping ore. If I kept my nose clean, I might even get back on the run.
Would you be open to a business proposition?
What is it?
You own your own rocket?
Barring a couple of liens against it.
I want to charter her to take me to the moon.
You hear what he said, Mac? He wants us to fly that old heap to the moon.
He can't do it. The old boat's worn out.
Why don't you charter a regular company ship?
Oh, no, I can't do that. The company charter comes up before a congressional committee this year. They have to follow the regulations.
You can't pass the physical. Now, if you can afford to hire us, why don't you bribe a couple of company medics? It's been done before.
I know, but not for me. I'm D. Harriman.
Harriman?
You own the company. Hey, what are you giving us?
I own a large percentage of the company, but the other directors won't permit me to jeopardize the franchise.
You tie that, Mac. A guy with half the money in the world, and he's up a creek.
Shut up, Charlie. Why do you want to go to the moon so bad, Mr. Harriman?
Well, it's the one thing I've really wanted to do all my life. I'm maybe 50 years older than you. When I was a kid, nobody believed we'd really reached the moon. You've seen rockets all your lives. When I was a boy, they laughed at the idea, but I believed. I wanted the moon then. I used to stand in the backyard and stare at it.
How far away is it, Mom?
The moon? Far enough.
Why don't people fly to the moon?
They can't.
Why not?
They just can't. But not now, anyway.
Someday I will.
What?
Fly to the moon.
Sure. Now, come on, Del. Inside. Way past your bedtime.
There wasn't enough money for college, so I worked. Stock boy at the old Ford plant in Detroit. Accountant, credit manager for a mail order house. Then New York and Wall Street. And then transportation. The monorail line between New York and Chicago. The Atlantic Pressure Tunnel. And then Harriman rockets.
Del? Del, I want to talk to you.
I'm working, Charlotte.
You talk to me now, Del, or you may not get another chance.
What is it?
Fred Lott was in. You've sold out again.
I run the business, Charlotte.
Del, I'm fed up with it. Up to here. I married you because I love you. I still love you, but I'm fed up.
Now, what is it, Charlotte?
We're not young anymore. Fred tells me you've bought into a bankrupt engineering firm. Sunk every nickel in it.
Well, they own the Schwarzmiller fuel injector patents. I need them.
How many times do we have to start over? I'm tired. I'm not asking for millions. Just a little life for the two of us.
I didn't know about the divorce for a month. I lost the papers under a stack of blueprints and stock prospectus. That night I walked through the park, watching the full moon move across the sky. My old friend. I could recognize the wrinkles. Requiem, Mare fecundatus, Mare twinkulatus, the lunar Apennines. It took 2 fraudulent bankruptcies and an investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission before we did it. The moon. There were 3 injunctions on the rocket before it blasted off. I was going on the second trip, but my considerate board served a court order on me.
You can't go there.
Fred, I'll break you if it's the last thing I do.
Dell, you've got a bad heart. That's no secret.
Oh.
If you die out there, the whole card house comes down. Now, we've got an equity in this corporation. We're going to see it protected. You've sucked us in on this wild scheme, and now that it paid off, you're going to sit right down here on Earth and see that the dividends come out on time. You're not going to the moon, Dell. Forget it.
I never went. By the time my lawyers shook off the restraining orders, the first cargo rocket had crashed in the Pacific, and Congress rushed through the Space Precautionary Act. My heart kept earthbound, and now I'm old. I've lived longer than I should, but I would not let myself die. I will not until I have set foot on the moon. There, Captain McIntyre, you asked why I wanted to go to the moon, Well?
You find a ship, Mr. Harriman, and I'll drive her. You'll hit the moon.
All right, then we can get down to business. I'll have contracts drawn up for you. You, too, will have to buy me a ship. I can't do it openly, of course. My dear board of directors would find out and slap a court order on me.
Well, we can't get credit.
Oh, don't worry. I'll supply the cash in advance. Pick some ship that can be fitted for the jump. A strato yacht, Apply for a strato license. Then after it's issued, you'll move to a piece of desert. I'll find a strip and buy it.
You mean fit her out there?
Yes. We'll install extra fuel tanks, change the injectors and timers for space flight.
Johnny, you think you can manage the changeover without a dockyard and shops?
Well, I'll have to have a load of power tools and a lot of time. It'll be haywired and spot welded.
Just so it doesn't blow up when I slap the keys.
It won't blow.
Well, that's what you said about the last ship.
Now, cut it out, will you? I ask you, Mr. Harriman, that last ship was a junk heap and we knew it. Now, this'll be different. We're going to spend some dough and do it right. Ain't we, Mr. Harriman?
You spend all the money you want. I'll see that you get it.
$132 shares of Apex Holding at 60% of par.
Check.
52 preferred of Spaceways Fuel, 50% off par.
Check.
That's the list. Oh, Mr. Harriman, there's a process server outside.
Yeah? What is it?
I don't know, sir, but I think it's a subpoena.
Oh, I was expecting that. Ashley, get Mr. Kamens on the phone. I think it's time for my lawyer.
May it please your honor, counsel representing Mr. Harriman's relatives contend that his behavior for the past few weeks gives clear indication that a mind brilliant in the world of finance has become senile. They petition you to declare him incompetent and to assign a conservator to protect his financial interests and those of his heirs. May I suggest that in the last few words, my opponent gave away his entire thesis. It is evident that the petitioners believe that my client should conduct his affairs in such a way as to ensure that his nephews, nieces, and their issue will be supported in unearned luxury for the rest of their lives. Therefore, we pray this court will confirm my client in his right to do what he likes with his own. Deny this petition and send these meddlers about their business.
Well, Kamens,
It could go either way.
He might rule against me?
He might. We'll know tomorrow.
Here it is. Eccentric millionaire disappears.
Yes.
You eccentric, Mr. Harriman?
Well, they used to call me crazy, but that depends on your credit rating.
A bench warrant under contempt proceedings has been issued.
They won't find me out here. How is the work going, Charlie?
My end's in pretty good shape.
Well, are you ready to go? My nephews will have detectives out looking for me.
Well, I could run those calibration tests tonight. Take till midnight. After that, it's up to the Commodore here.
There. There she is, Mr. Harriman. That's the job that'll take you to the moon.
It's a good ship, isn't it?
Hey, Mac, stop the car.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh. He's out?
Look at him. Where's his medicine?
Vest pocket. Here. Break the glass. Hold it on his nose.
He looks lousy.
Yeah. There. He's breathing easy. Come around soon.
Mac, we ain't gone through with this.
Why not?
It's murder. He'll never stand up under the initial acceleration.
Maybe not, but that's what he wants to do. You heard him.
I don't like it. He's an okay old buzzard.
What do you want to do with him? Send him back to Kansas City so his no-good nephews can shut him up in the cellar?
No, but...
Okay, then. Now get out there and make your setup for those test runs. Get that ship ready to fly.
Hey, you.
Me?
How many other people are there out in this desert?
What can I do for you?
You James McIntyre?
Hey, Mac.
What's the matter, Charlie?
You McIntyre?
Oh. Yeah.
I'm the deputy federal marshal in this district. I got a warrant for your arrest.
What charge?
Conspiracy to violate the Space Precautionary Act. I suppose you're Charles Schwartz. I got one for you, too.
Thanks.
And a man named Harriman. Got a court order to put seals on your spaceship.
We haven't got any spaceship.
What's that, a kiddie car?
Strato yacht.
Yeah? Well, I'll put seals on it until a spaceship shows up. Where's Harriman?
In the shed.
What shed?
Oh, my knuckle. That's the one I broke playing football. I'm always hurting that finger.
We gotta hurry. Get Papa to the cabin and strap him into his hammock.
Right. So long, Deputy. Oh, my knuckle.
She's warm, Charlie. Everything set back there?
How do I know? I didn't have time to run tests.
Tough. You all right, Mr. Harriman?
I think so, but these straps are tight.
Have to be when we blast off. All set, Charlie. Give me control.
Check. Test keys.
1 bank.
Check.
2 bank.
There's an auxiliary out.
We don't need it. All right, boy, hang on. Let's go.
How are you, Pop? I'm doing fine. Couldn't be better.
You better stay in your hammock. I'll loosen the straps a little. What is it?
Nothing. Just go easy on that side.
You ain't fooling me none, Pop. You got a couple of busted ribs. There isn't much I can do till we ground. You take a neobaritol and I'll wake you when we cut jets.
No, I'll stay awake.
Okay, just as you say, Pop. She's on automatic, Charlie. How are the tubes holding up?
Fine, tight as a drum.
She handles nice.
How's Pop?
Alive, but he's in bad shape.
How bad?
Cracked a couple of ribs in the takeoff. I don't know what else.
You think he'll last the trip?
His heart was pounding like an off-time valve.
Well, he'll last. He's tough.
Tough. He's delicate as a canary.
I don't mean that. He's tough down inside where it counts. Just the same, you better set her down awful easy if you want him alive.
I'll make a full swing around the moon and ease her in an involute approach curve. It'll go fine if we got enough fuel.
Somebody call me?
Something wrong, Pop?
Thought somebody was calling me. Must have been asleep.
I swung your hammock around. We're breaking now. There she is ahead.
The moon. I've seen 1,000 photographs. There. That's Copernicus. Tycho.
You know it all right, Pop.
Where are you landing?
Mare Imbrium between Aristillus and Archimedes.
Oh, that's about 40 miles from Luna City, isn't it?
Yeah.
It won't be easy landing without ground approach radar, will it?
I've done it before.
Not without a second pilot to punch the statometer.
You ought to have a mate's ticket, Pop. You know the whole routine. You must have really studied up.
Yes, that's all I could do, study, until now. Oh, look at the moon. I feel as if I'm coming home.
Yeah. Charlie,
Yo,
I'm taking her in. Cut in full power.
make it good, Mac. Pop can't take a rough one.
Shut up and give me the power. I'll do my best. Okay. Dynamite setting punched. Hang on, here we go.
That was a lousy landing, Mac.
Dynamite adrift.
How's our passenger?
Quiet. Now look.
I wouldn't make any bets. That landing stunk.
Will you shut up? I did my best. Hey, Pop.
He's alive. There's blood in his mouth.
He's trying to say something. Take it easy, Pop. We're down.
Oh, where?
Take it easy.
Vacuum suits. Where are they?
Steady, Pop. You can't go out there yet. We got to give you some first aid.
Give me that suit.
What do you think, Mac?
Might as well. Get the suit out of the locker. Yeah, we'll use the big one. Be more comfortable.
Okay.
Hurry.
Okay, Pop. Easy now.
Hurry.
All right, pull it up. Seal these zippers, Charlie. Take it easy. All right. The helmet. Air diaphragm set.
Check.
Air valve.
Set.
Lift it on him.
Don't hit him. There.
All right. Come on, Charlie. Get into your suit, and we'll carry him out the back. Easy with him.
Okay. You all right, Pop?
Outside. Take me outside.
His left leg is gone. Get your shoulder under him.
Right. Open the lock.
All right, Pop. Come on. We're going out on the moon.
The moon.
All right. I'm going to leave you out here to look around while we get ready for the hike to town. You all right?
The moon.
We have to break out air bottles and rig a stretcher. It's 40 miles into the dome. Charlie, prop something behind his head.
Okay. You comfortable, Pop?
We'll be back soon.
Moon. I can feel the pumice dust, and it doesn't hurt anymore. Why, there's the earth overhead, the earth in the sky, and green-blue. I'm on the moon. I'm on the moon.
Del?
Charlotte? I thought I heard somebody call my name. Yeah, I'm getting old. My mind wanders.
Del?
Charlotte.
Del?
That is you, isn't it? I made it, Charlotte. I'm on the moon. You didn't understand. You were afraid I wouldn't take care of myself. But I made it. I'm on the moon. I'm on the moon.
Come on, Charlie. We better get Pop going. Here, give me a hand getting him on the stretcher.
Never mind the stretcher, Mac.
What's the matter?
He won't need it. He's dead.
Oh. Better get out the pumice skis and the air bottles. It's a long walk to town.
Yeah. What about him?
Looks as if he's resting, doesn't he? Propped up, looking out on the pumice.
Well, he hit the moon. Come on. Let's start walking.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production. Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2. X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Pictures Don't Lie, by Catherine McLean.
I had been writing science stories for the Times for a few years before the whole business of the aliens came up. I got on to doing science because I wasn't a very good sports writer, and the Guild made it clear to the manager that I had enough seniority to make it tough to fire me. So, when Masters went over to Life magazine, I was shoved into his spot. Now, being the man from the Times on any given story is quite a responsibility. It's not quite as inspiring as the London Times. You remember the butler announcing there were several reporters and a gentleman from the Times? But we're supposed to look as if we didn't specialize in axe murders and picking winners at Jamaica. Of course, it pays off. You find scientists, atomic energy commissioners, even congressmen will open up to the Times man. And that's how I got on the inside of this whole business. I had met Joseph Nathan at a convention in Atlantic City, and when he invited me to look over this work, I accepted.
I don't think there's anything classified in this work, Mr. Schwartz, as long as I don't actually supply you the text of messages.
I got a department clearance up to most confidential.
Well, that should do it. Hello, Max.
Hi.
You see, my job is radio decoder in the department here.
Under the Pentagon directly?
Department of Military Intelligence.
Uh-huh.
I use a directional pickup to tune in on foreign bands, record any scrambled or coded messages I hear.
I thought the code department was handled under CIA.
Well, I guess there is some duplication. Actually, though, I concentrate on the scrambled messages.
I see.
Here, I can show you. Come over here. Look out to the table.
Yeah.
Anybody want coffee?
I've got a piece of tape here. This is a typical scrambled broadcast. It's not military, it's a commercial message.
Oh.
Wait a minute till I thread up the machine.
Sure.
You know the basic principles. You take a straight voice message, run it through on an electronic scramble circuit. It may come out something like this. My job is to pick a thing like that out of the air, analyze the patterns, and wire an unscrambler. I've got this particular pattern set up on the machine, you see.
Tanker number 734, capacity code 7, estimated time of arrival at Galveston 30.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was just a commercial message. I do the same thing with military intelligence.
Is it something like old-fashioned cryptology?
Well, yes, except there's a small complication. You need a degree in advanced electronics, waveform math with a touch of quantum physics.
I suppose it's quite challenging, then, every time you pick up a new signal.
In a way, actually, they do the same work in every country these days. Everybody knows it's just a matter of time before any scrambled pattern is broken. It's pretty routine.
Uh-huh. Ever pick up anything exciting?
Well, actually, most of the messages, when I unscramble them, are still in prearranged code, and I have to turn them over to cryptology. It's something like copying Jabberwocky 500 times by longhand. Well, there is something interesting here. Listen to this piece of tape.
I don't hear anything.
Well, that was it.
Oh?
Now listen, there's another one coming up. That's it.
Well, I get that on my car radio, static.
Yes, but that's from the stars.
You mean radio interference?
That's right. I think you wrote about the work at Bell Telephone and RCA Labs about radio telescopy mapping the star positions by static.
You're interested in that?
Not exactly.
They've never been able to figure out why the static on these particular bands comes in such jagged bursts. Just doesn't seem natural.
You have any ideas?
Oh, I don't know. I've been kicking around the notion that it's not a natural phenomenon. I've been trying to discard it, sort of like playing chess against yourself on the train in the morning. Well, that's about all there is.
That's all it was then. Joe Nathan swindling a few parts and a little government time to ride a hobby horse of his. I wrote up his job for the Sunday magazine section. It got squeezed out for an article by a famous actress on the 10 leading roles I disliked the most. So I forgot about it, went back to announcing a miracle drug per week and conflicting theories of psychoanalysis. I don't know what I'd do without them. They're always good for a piece. I was at the office late one night. I didn't have any work, but I just didn't feel like going home and putting the kids to bed. Schwartz.
Mr. Schwartz?
That's right.
This is Joseph Nathan. Do you remember?
Yeah, sure. How are you?
Mr. Schwartz, can you come out to my lab?
You mean Riverhead?
Yes. I'd like to show you something.
Well, maybe we can make an appointment. As a matter of fact, I have to be out on Long Island next week.
No, I mean tonight.
Oh? What is it?
I think I've found something that you might be interested in.
Yes?
You know those static bursts I recorded?
The ones that came from the stars?
That's right. I've decoded them.
When you write science for the Times, you don't often go dashing off on the trail of scoops, as in TV versions of newspaper life. But it was about 11:45 as I drove out along the Montauk Highway, listening to Tex and Jinx on the radio to keep from piling up the car against the tree. Radio who keeps me awake. Nathan was waiting for me at the gate, and he had quite an argument to get me in past the MPs. We were challenged 4 times before we got to his lab.
I'm glad you came, Mr. Schwartz.
Oh, it's a nice night for a drive.
I know, but frankly, I wanted to ask you what I should do. You see, I requisitioned the supplies without authorization, and I don't know how to explain it to my division chief. I mean, it isn't as if I took any of the equipment home. It's all right here. But I've got to tell somebody. I just thought you might have some experience in how to handle a thing like this.
Like what?
Well, you remember that static recording I played you? Here, I got it set up.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I remember it vividly. Now, Mr. Nathan, it's very late, and this is far out on Long Island.
Now, you see, there's an old intelligence trick, speeding up on a recording till it sounds just like that, a short squawk of static, and then broadcasting it. Undergrounds use that when they don't want their transmitters located by triangulation. When you receive the broadcast, you slow it down and get your message.
Oh, no, wait a minute. You mean that you've decoded those static bursts from the stars?
Well, no, not exactly. I mean, they're not in code.
You think there's somebody out there broadcasting at us?
Well, no, it's not exactly that either.
Everything all right in here, Joe?
It's all right, Max. Mr. Schwartz has a clearance.
Okay, see you in the morning.
You see, if a star has planets, inhabited planets, and there was any broadcasting between them, they'd send it on a tight beam to save power. It's the same method we used to aim radio beams at the satellite stations. You don't lose power. But you couldn't aim from planet to planet. You can't expect a beam to stay on target over such distance more than a few seconds at a time. It'd be like trying to keep a flashlight on a bouncing ball from a mile away.
Yeah, I see.
So they naturally compress each message into a short half-second or half-length package and send it a few hundred times in one long blast to make sure it was picked up during the instant the beam swings across the target. You see?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Is that what those static squawks were?
I think so. I've got them analyzed up to a point, and they can't possibly be random.
Oh?
I recorded a couple of screeches from Sagittarius section, and I concentrated the work on them. It's taken me a couple of months to find the synchronizing signals and set the scanners close enough to the right time to even get a pattern. But I'm getting close to it now.
Huh? You mean you've actually picked up messages from some form of alien life out there in the stars?
Yes. You see, and this raises a tremendous problem. How am I going to explain to the division chief why I made all those unauthorized parts requisitions?
I convinced Mr. Nathan that his supervisor was likely to overlook about $300 worth of electronic gear when presented with the fact that Nathan had discovered life in other star systems and was close to deciphering some of their messages. The department put him on full time and gave him an assistant. They made me swear to sit on the story by promising to give me the first break on it when it was finally released. So I kept checking with Nathan as he worked.
I don't think it's a voice message.
Well, what is it, a racing wire? Are we catching late scratches from some track at the edge of the galaxy?
I don't think so. It's a TV signal.
Oh?
There's a definite scanning pattern. I can separate out the locking poles for a picture.
Yeah?
The only problem is I've no way of assigning colors to the various bands.
Color? Well, what makes you think it's color?
Oh, it seems as if it's got to be.
You and RCA. This is the year color's here.
No, look at these waveform analyses.
Huh?
With a band spread that wide, it rather indicates a color transmission, don't you think?
Well, sure, why not? Let me know when you get the Steve Allen show. And then, of course, he did. Not the Steve Allen program, but the equivalent of it. He called me in about 4 months later. Had a monitor screen set up on a bare chassis with a wideband tape unit recording everything that came in.
Here, wait till I turn on the set. See, this is what I've been trying to figure out for at least a month. You see this picture?
Ah, looks like a Scotch plaid.
Well, we finally assigned the colors so that they seem to give a rational picture. Wait a minute, I'll clear it up. There. Oh, there it is.
What is that?
That's the signal from the stars.
But it's a picture. Some kind of distorted broadcast.
That's what I said. It's a broadcast, and it's coming from somewhere out past Sagittarius. Do you want to hear the audio signal?
That's their language?
That's right. We're sure about that. The colors were assigned arbitrarily, of course. You see that figure there, the tall one?
With the green skin?
Yes. That skin may be blue or pink or gray or anything. We don't know what their color response is. The only thing we're sure about is the various shadings of intensity and the audio channel.
What is it? What's it all about?
Well, we haven't decoded the language yet. There's a team from Harvard working on that. We record everything that comes in, but I think it's a lending library.
A what?
It's all fiction. It's plays. And there are dozens of them, all at the same time. I think they broadcast them continuously, and anybody who wants a particular play can tune it in. With the short burst method of transmission, they've got plenty of room in the spectrum.
A lending library?
Of course. As soon as we break the language barrier, we'll know for sure. Oh, by the way, I thought you might be interested. I've sent them back a message.
Look, Nathan, when are they going to release this? When can I use it?
I don't know. In the civil service, you don't ask questions
Now,
like that.
look, I'm a newspaper man. This is the hottest story.
I thought you were from the Times.
I know, but it's still a newspaper. What is the message you sent them? How do you do it?
Well, I took a print of a film.
Yeah?
As a matter of fact, it was Punky Ellie's Dance of the Hours from the Disney film. You know, with the dancing hippopotamus and crocodile?
I think I remember it.
Well, I scanned it with the same combinations and sent it back along the same line we were receiving from. Just testing.
Huh. What do you think they'll make of dancing hippopotamuses and crocodiles out past Sagittarius?
Oh, I recorded a prologue, and I explained what it was. I thought it would please their library to get a new record in.
Look, Mr. Nathan, please, will you find out when they'll release this?
Well, as a matter of fact, I do have an idea. The project supervisor said there'd be big news when we get an answer back.
When?
Oh, at the rate of transmission, only about 3 or 4 years.
That's what it was. 3 or 4 years. I forgot about Nathan for most of the time in the interim. It was one of the few stories in which nothing leaked. I have a feeling if the Pentagon realized how much I knew about it, I never would have gotten out of the laboratory at Riverhead. And so this story seems a lot more direct than it actually was. An awful lot happened in the 4 years before Nathan called me again, landing on the moon for one. But when he did call me, he had big news.
Here. Now watch this. Watch.
Is that the recording of the message you sent out? I've seen that before.
No, it isn't. That's a message we've received. They're playing it back to us. Now, wait, you'll see. Now, look, you see? There's an auditorium. They've been showing our message on a screen. Look at them.
What are they doing? Waving their hands in circles?
Well, that might be applause. You can't tell, but that isn't the most important thing. Do you realize what the intensity of this message was? On an Omicron scale, 302.8.
Yes?
Now, you'll see what I mean. Now, watch. Their camera, or whatever they use, pans up from the audience. Look at that wall.
Hey, it looks like a ship's hold.
It is. It's a spaceship. That accounts for the intensity of the broadcast. We've picked up an alien spaceship, and they've gotten our message. They're approaching the solar system, and we'll be able to contact them.
Joe, you know, I just don't care anymore. You've strung me along with this thing for 5 years, and it's no use to me. Absolutely no use.
Why, didn't I tell you? The Department of Defense is releasing the story to the press. You have it today, and there'll be a general release tomorrow.
And of course, you remember the story. We had it first. And any paper or TV broadcast that picked it up before the general release had to carry my byline and the Times copyright. I think it was the most important single newspaper beat that I've ever heard of. And of course, I did very well because of it. It was page 1 in the upper right-hand corner in the Times for 8 days running. And then the arrangements were made to cover the landing of the alien ship. The White House press secretary handled the whole thing. There'd be one pool man on the inside in direct contact with Nathan, the linguist teams, and the brass. Naturally, I got the pool assignment. There wasn't any question of it, really. But the rest of the boys were in on the releases, briefings, and press conferences. On arrival day, we were all schlepped out to the apron at White Sands Rocket Base. The concrete is graded to stand the thrust of those 3-stage giants that make the satellite and moon runs. But they'd added a layer of molybdenum mesh sprayed with some kind of plastistel on the theory that the stresses of an interstellar ship might crack White Sands rocket port like a pane of glass. The communications equipment was set up in the old red control blockhouse that hadn't been used since a whack Corporal missile misfired in 58. First, they threw Nathan to the wolves in a press conference. The TV boys with ultra-portables were down on their knees in the first row, and the rest of us in the base movie theater. Nathan was up on the stage. Al Sullivan from the news led it off.
Mr. Nathan, what do you think of the aliens? Are they friendly? Do they look human?
Very human.
Exactly where will the alien ship land?
Well, that isn't exactly my field, but when you get out to the port, you'll see the strip. It's like a tic-tac-toe diagram. The release describes the precautions that have been taken, except for the grass strip along the runways. The light area has been remodeled.
Do you know anything about their home planet?
No, nothing directly.
Do you think they're dangerous, then?
No, I don't think so.
You realize, Mr. Nathan, that the 8th Atomic Artillery Battalion has been drawn up 5 miles north of the port, prepared for action.
Well, no, that's not my department. I don't know what precautions the military has taken.
But you think they're friendly?
Those I know are. I've been in contact with the radio operator of the ship. Bud says, I call him Bud, that he's worked up quite a thirst on this trip. Of course, we don't know what he drinks. We've no common chemical terminology. We haven't been able to exchange spectroscopic standards because we can't change the wavelengths accurately enough on the broadcast. We've arranged for you to see some of the recorded broadcasts we have made. When you watch them, I'd like you to realize that these are plays, all fictional. We haven't dubbed in a translation of the soundtracks, although Since these were recorded, we've developed an automatic translator. You'll see that later. All right, I think we're ready for the showing. If somebody will please dim the house lights.
Of course, I'd seen the films before, but I stayed at the back of the hall to watch them again. The almost human forms, half dancing, the colors bright but strange. The sound was a flowing language with many shifts of pitch, and there was that strange, odd motion, not slow, but somehow drifting. It had been bothering me for some time, the films. There was something in the way they walked. They were good actors. Even without knowing what was happening, you were interested. You could tell the hero from the villain sometimes, and you rooted for him. Finally, I went out to the lobby, and I found Nathan pacing up and down.
What's on now?
That recording that they returned with the Ponchielli.
It's funny, you know. They're crazy about Ponchielli and Mozart. Can't stand Gershwin. Strange.
Joe, there's something wrong with the films.
What do you mean?
Well, something wrong with the whole thing. It's a hunch. I felt that way with the vaccine for the common cold. Turned out to be a bust, huh? Now, there's something about the way they move.
Well, that bothers me, too. When I turn the tape faster, they're all rushing, and you begin to wonder why their clothes don't stream behind them, why the doors don't close quickly behind them, why things fall so fast. Well, we don't have to worry about it. We'll see them in about 2 hours when they land.
He seemed a little too cheerful. Joe Nathan wasn't like that. He was usually too serious, took things literally. But he seemed to be trying to convince himself that nothing could go wrong. It was as if he smelled a rat but held his nose and went right ahead. At minus 30 minutes, we all took our places in the blockhouse. They had a monitor set up with the automatic translator hooked up on the audio channel, so the alien operator looked as if he was talking English, but the lip movement didn't quite match, like a bad foreign film with English dialogue.
There he is. He's broadcasting. Throw on the translator unit.
We've decelerated enough to enter the atmosphere. We'll be landing in 3 time periods. Hey, Joe, what is it? A murky-looking planet you live on?
What do you mean by that?
He's kidding. I've been talking with him for a few weeks. He's got a sense of humor.
What does he mean, murky? Can't be raining over much territory on Earth. It rained here this morning, but it's cleared up now.
There he is again. See the way he holds his mouth in an O?
Uh-huh.
That's their laugh.
Oh.
There, you can see his view screen behind him. He must be just entering the atmosphere. There goes the green light again.
What's that?
Oh, we're not getting this broadcast direct. That light means they've sent a concentrated squawk broadcast. We record it, slow it down, and then play it back here. Just a minute, and we'll get what he said. Here it comes.
Hey, Joe, it's dark. Your atmosphere is thick, really thick. You didn't tell me that. Approaching ground level.
I didn't hear any rocket jets. We should hear a landing blast, shouldn't we?
I don't know. Another message in.
We've landed. We're down.
Well, they can't be. They can't be. There's nothing out there.
Here he is again.
Listen, Joe, we're down. We're landed, but our detection field shows no buildings near. Nothing. The atmosphere registers thick as glue. There's tremendous gas pressure. Our hull won't take it too long. There's no light at all. Joe, you didn't describe it like this. What kind of a trick is this?
We've got a directional fix on the broadcast now.
Where is it?
There, on the field.
We're trying repair. We're adjusting a view screen to pick up the long waves to go through this murk. The engineer says there's something wrong with the steam jets. We're sending a help call to our nearest space base. Joe, get us out of here.
Well, where are they? Where are they? There's nothing out there. Nothing.
They'll have to triangulate the next broadcast again.
Joe, you've got to send a rescue party somehow. Listen, we've got a viewing screen rigged now. We're in the middle of a half circle of cliffs. Around the horizon, there is a wide, muddy lake with swimming, pulpy things attacking and eating each other on all sides. We're almost in the lake on the soft edge. And the mud can't hold the ship's weight, and we're sinking. The tubes are mud-clogged. When can you reach us?
They're out there, aren't they?
They're out there on that airport. On the empty field.
Where are you? We're sinking. Where are you?
I was wrong. The squawk transmission, by speeding it up for better efficiency, I was wrong.
What do you mean?
They don't speed up their broadcasts. They live that fast.
Over an hour of talk and action in one squawk? Nothing of any size could move that fast against inertia.
Joe, get us out. We're sinking. We're sinking into the mud, into the lake. The hull is buckling. Joe, get us out.
You can't, can you?
How? Get them out. There isn't a lake or a river within hundreds of miles from here.
The direction finders. The broadcast came from out there. From the concrete spaceport.
Possibly at the edge of the runway where the grass is growing. After all, it rained this morning.
Do you think we could ever find them?
Maybe. With a strong enough magnifying glass.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Rattle OK by Harry Warner Jr., which demonstrates that a time machine could be very useful for handling a department store's complaints, provided you don't go too far to please a customer. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Pictures Don't Lie, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Catherine McLean and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Joe DeSantis as Schwartz, John Gibson as Nathan, Sam Gray as a newsman, and Dick Hamilton as the alien. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
One of the best, one of the most popular programs on radio. That's You Bet Your Life with Groucho Marx. And here's a reminder. Now Groucho can be heard on Saturdays. And he's on at a time when every member of the family, from Junior to Grandpa, can join in the laughter that goes with each question and answer session. A new day, a new hour, but the very same fun and good times that have made Groucho and You Bet Your Life so popular throughout the years. Have you ever met a hamburger king, or an earthworm farmer, or a famous beauty contest winner? Well, these are some of those who have appeared as Groucho's guests. Who will be his guests Saturday? Well, that's a secret. But you can bet your life they'll be full of fun and surprises. Have you ever heard Groucho sing his classic Captain Spaulding or throw a romantic line at a pretty girl contestant? You'll enjoy all of Groucho's unpredictable antics again this season, Saturday, the day for Groucho Marx and You Bet Your Life. Check your newspaper. Hear music by Ralph Flanagan and Skinny Ennis on Bandstand on NBC.
This is Nightline, your open door to people and places, and this is Walter O'Keefe. Nightline invites you to listen in on NBC's award-winning science fiction series X-1. Now escape to a world of the future.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, The Merchant of Venus by A.H. Phelps, Jr. But first, hear this.
When they play it hot and you dig the beat, oh, life is swinging, life's complete.
You make it Pabst, 'cause Pabst makes it perfect.
Yes, Pabst makes it perfect. Just as we always have ever since 1844. So next time, you make it Pabst, because Pabst makes it perfect. America's Blue Ribbon beer from the Pabst Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yes, Pabst makes it perfect.
Now on X-1, The Merchant of Venus.
If you've ever tried to make a 6-inch marionette play the piano using spider webs 100 feet long for the strings, you'll have some idea of the job of administering personnel problems of the Venus colony from an office on East 41st Street in New York. But that's the way it's done. All recruitment and contract work for outspace employment is handled by the UN Off-World Commission. My particular mess is the Venus Project. Mostly the trouble comes to my phone extension. Workham here.
Workham, how long do you think we're going to stand for this?
Oh, General Carlson, how are you?
At the rate you're going, there won't be a man left on Venus or a dollar left in the budget. What kind of a personnel director are you?
Well, if you...
Don't you know this project is vital to every person on Earth?
General Carlson, just what is wrong?
30 more resignations came in from the colony on the last mail flight. 33 spineless quitters getting fat at the taxpayers'
Excuse me, General.
Listen to me, Workham. I'm getting awfully tired of the kind of recruiting you're doing.
Miss Kane, get me Dave Newson on the other line. No, don't cut the General off. He's enjoying himself. He won't miss me.
It's this egghead inefficiency that's at the bottom of the whole thing.
Well, I'm not too sure about that, General.
Believe me, with one platoon of Rangers, I could get a colony and a stay up. Hello, Ron.
Dave, General Carlson's on the other phone yelling at my desk blotter. He says 30 more resignations came in. That right?
Actually, 23. 7 for sick leave.
What's the breakdown? Mostly farmers or technicians?
Well, there were only 9 technicians left. This batch cleans them out. The rest are farmers.
What's left?
A couple of farmers, trappers, and the scientists. They seem to stick it out all right.
Different contracts. They only have a 2-year hitch and then come back to Earth if they want to. Listen, meet me down at the coffee shop. No, Carlson goes down there sometimes. The saloon over on 43rd, about 10 minutes. The saloon was decorated in old-fashioned foam and plastic furniture. It looked straight out of the antebellum 1950s. I found Dave waiting for me in a booth, and we got right down to it.
Well, listen, why don't we leave this last bunch of quitters right where they are? Refuse to bring them home. Then they'd have to make a go of the colony to save their scrawny necks.
Oh, I'd like to, but even General Carlson wouldn't dare. We'd never get another colonist off Earth. And our main job is to relieve population crowding on Earth. If we get tough with the colony, a man would be a fool to go.
But every one of these quitters talks like he was just sprung from Devil's Island.
This isn't getting us anywhere. I want you to shoot me up the files on this last batch of quitters. Maybe we'd better have a staff meeting on it. Get the psychology section, the preliminary interviewers who passed these men, and I'll have Jameson, too.
What do you want a historian for?
Maybe he can find us something interesting in the project record. He's used to deducing the philosophical and religious behavior of the ancient Hittites from a loose translation of a cuneiform laundry bill.
Shall I get them all down here?
No, we'd better make it formal. Book a conference room. When you get Jameson into a saloon, he spends all his time thinking up guessing games to avoid paying for his drinks. No, make sure about General Carlson.
I'll tell his secretary.
No. Make sure he doesn't hear about it. I don't have anything against General Carlson personally. It's just that there's always been a fight over Venus Project. The military versus the rest of us soft, decadent civilians. Carlson felt the right way to settle any virgin territory was to set up a military outpost on the ground that soldiers had always been the best operators under similar circumstances. I had lunch with Dave before the conference.
You want to call the Greasy Spoon and order?
What's on the menu?
Well, Protost burger, sliced barbecued yeast, or seaweed borscht with boiled algae balls.
Just coffee. Black coffee.
Well, they don't have coffee. What do you think this is, the Chambord? You can have Neo-Caf or Syntho tea.
And that just about sums up the problem the Earth faces. Scientific agriculture and hydroponics had gone just about as far as they could. Synthesized foods couldn't take up the slack. If the people of Earth kept on emulating the extinct rabbits, as they showed every intention of doing, we had about 30 years before we'd all be standing on each other's shoulders, chewing our fingernails for nourishment. Or rigid birth control would go into effect, with the whole attendant problem of racial tension, nationalistic wars, and bootleg conceptions. The group gathered in the conference room looked sour enough to have been dining on seaweed borscht for a week. All right. Now, suppose I sum up what we all know already. It'll give us time to stall before we face problems to which we have no answers.
That's a cheerful beginning.
All right. Now, for 6 years, we've been trying to establish a self-sustaining colony on Venus. Why? Take the monorail out to Bucks County or up to Vermont at rush hour. There just isn't any more room on Earth. They've just opened the Dome Colony in Antarctica, and the housing areas in the Amazon Valley, and they're already piled up with a 10-year waiting list. All right, we send out colonists. What happens?
They quit.
Thank you, Mr. Jameson. The resignations come in. By terms of the contract, we have to transport them back to Earth inside of a month of resignation. There'll be nothing left on Venus but a few small clearings in the jungle and a few empty beer cans. Now, I'm not accusing anyone here of making mistakes, but I think we have to seriously consider whether we're spending money for nothing.
Rod, you said the problem was insoluble. We know what we need up there. It's just that we're still making some mistake in selection, in psychological screening. That's all. You're not going to quit, are you, Rod?
Well,
we're not. We'll get these studies out and check again. Venus Project is too important to fail, right?
Yeah,
right.
It's a cheap trick, but it always works. I talk with a heavy, heavy heart. Dave jumps in to shill like a Boy Scout. It always amazes me how a bunch of Ph.D. psychologists can get suckered into enthusiasm every time. We tried to figure out what made the settlers quit. We went into their backgrounds, their personality psych profiles. The coffee grew stale and the smoke heavy. Nothing.
Look, Rod, here's what it boils down to. A man has to be unstable to want to leave Earth, but he has to be stable to stay on Venus. You need initiative and resourcefulness to make out on a new planet. But if you had it, you'd make out fine at home. You need young, healthy, vigorous, mature, older, experienced people all rolled into one. We're looking for a collection of walking paradoxes.
You're listening to The Merchant of Venus, tonight's attraction on X-1. For the big things in your life, be ready with United States savings bonds. That's the new savings bond with the higher interest rate. The improved Series E savings bonds that now mature faster to pay you back extra dollars faster. Yes, when you think of saving, think of savings bonds. They offer you the safe, easy way to save regularly. Safe because each bond is backed by the United States government itself. And it's easy because you can buy bonds either where you bank or through the payroll savings plan where you work. And remember, you get back $4 at maturity for every $3 invested. So you earn extra dollars. But the big news is that the maturity period is shortened to only 8 years and 11 months. So join the bond wagon. Start a family savings program. Invest in improved Series E bonds first thing tomorrow. And hold the bonds you already own. Now back to X-1 and The Merchant of Venus.
We tried brainstorming on Project Venus. You know, just sit around and let the ideas seep out of your unconscious.
Take kids up and bring them up on Venus under guard.
Grow colonists in test tubes and ship them out wrapped in glass.
Start trial colonies in the Congo.
Nothing. I was mulling the conference over by myself in the saloon when Jameson dropped into a chair beside me.
Hi, Rod.
Oh, hello.
Hey, I got a new game. I take 3 matches in my right hand and
Don't
you guess...
bother. I'll pay for the drinks.
Rod, you're taking the sport out of sponging.
I see nothing amusing in being a petty con man.
How about that snow job you work on the psych team every couple of weeks? You could get rich selling bogus mining stock to investigators for the SEC.
There is a difference between legitimate personnel psychology.
Sure. How about when you threatened to quit?
Well, I'm not sure I was kidding.
What would happen if you quit?
Carlson would probably send a military outpost up there. Make a clearing, build a fort, maybe a town, and then he'd try to get people to come and live in it. It won't work, though. They'll want to know why the planet had to be colonized that way. Why wouldn't the civilian colonists stay?
Rod, this may surprise you, but I agree with you. But not because of your fancy psych profiles and emotional mathematics. A free people will not willingly move into a military township. Rod, you a gambling man.
I told you, I'll pay for the drinks.
No. I mean, would you take a 50-50 chance if the colony had a chance of working out?
I guess so. It's better odds than I'd give at the moment.
All right. You're on.
Now, wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Never mind. Here, look. I take 3 matches in my right hand.
And that's all he said. I found out a week later what was going on when I was called on the carpet by General Carlson.
And as I understand it, this plan of Mr. Jameson's was smothered in your office because of professional jealousy, Mr. Jameson having no degree in psychology.
Is that what he told you?
Mr. Workham, I'm very busy. I have a conference with Mr. Jameson in exactly 7 minutes.
I caught him later that afternoon.
Now, take it easy, Rod. That's the only way I could get Old Blood and Sarsaparilla to snap at my bait. If he thought you were sitting on an idea, he was bound to grab it.
You know he dry-docked me for 6 weeks.
Go fishing. Have a good time. When you get back, I'll have my little swindle going full blast.
That is exactly what I did. I went fishing. When I came back to work, I had to fight to get into the building.
Hey, who you pushing?
I work in here.
Yeah? Line bucker.
What do you mean?
You're gonna wait your time like the rest of us.
What's going on in there?
What, are you kidding? This is the volunteer office. Where have you been?
Volunteer for what?
The Venus colony.
Oh, no. That's a little office around on 43rd Street.
Wake up, Bud. They moved out of that office last week.
You mean all these men are volunteering?
Sure. Hey, you got a bottle on you?
Bottle?
Anything. A little California seaweed juice, maybe? I ain't fussy.
Are you a trained farmer?
Do I look like a hayseed?
Technician? Mechanic?
Listen, Buster. That's for Marks, Rubes, Hicks. I know how to take care of myself. Let the suckers push tractors around. You sure you ain't got a shot?
No.
Man, I can hardly wait till I get there.
The nearest saloon?
Venus, man, Venus.
What are you going to do when you get there?
I'm gonna snake me a little climb. Then let the creds roll in. Gonna get me a year's supply of the best pre-war scotch, and I'm gonna use it up in a week.
They don't pay that kind of wages at the colony.
Wages? That's for square johns. I'm going out for the hot stuff. You know what I mean?
Radioactives? Well, the government assays don't show enough to make it worth shipping.
That's what they want you to believe. I heard they got loads of big U's so rich, you gotta wear a lead union suit to get near them.
Don't you realize there's nothing but jungle up there? And insects and spores and fungus?
All right. I know the story. That's to keep out suckers. Take it from me, bud. Just look around. The smart money knows the truth. I'm getting in on the ground floor.
Jameson, you irresponsible idiot!
Ah, Rod, how are the fish?
I know what you're doing, and I won't put up with it. You've told those dupes down there they can get rich on Venus.
Well, they're volunteering.
And I suppose you think if you get enough of them, you'll find what you want. But have you looked at them? Crooks, gangsters, bums, hobos, drunks, and I don't know what.
They are a little picturesque, aren't they?
Well, you've got recruits, all right. But what kind of a society are you going to start with them?
Rod, you're not being just a teeny-weeny bit snobbish, are you?
Look, this isn't a joke. I don't care who goes as long as they meet some standards. But to make a decent place, you need decent people, morally clean and healthy.
And to think this is a man I have seen playing stud poker.
You've got a collection of bums and alcoholics and criminals. Probably half of them are wanted by the cops. You've got to stop. There wasn't a thing I could do. I issued a statement to the press, and I got editorials attacking me for trying to keep the riches of Venus from the common man. Days passed, weeks. The training and screening compounds were jammed, and the transports lifted from Cocoa Base on a tight schedule, 100 men to a ship, not counting crew. People traveled miles to apply. They drifted in from every skid row around the world. And then the numbers decreased. Day by day, the get-rich-quick propaganda seemed to be losing its grip. About a year passed, and the lines had dwindled down to about a steady 5 men a day. I went through my routines in a kind of daze, horrified at the tale history would write about the society that was recruited through my office. Then one day, I met a man in a lunchroom. He asked me the way to the recruiting office. We got to talking. That afternoon, I found Jameson in the saloon and cornered him.
Look, I take 4 lumps of sugar in my left hand, and you try to guess which one...
Never mind.
It's just a little sporting proposition.
I've had enough sporting propositions out of you. Jamie, I just talked to a recruit.
How democratic of you.
I'm not kidding. He was an engineer who tossed up a good job to go out to the colony.
How nice.
I did a little more checking. They've changed. There are farmers with their families, school teachers, lawyers, doctors, and then 2 ex-colonists applied yesterday to go back.
Guess which hand holds
Listen, there is on the bar a pre-war bottle of scotch at $25 an ounce. I will buy you the whole bottle for an explanation.
Oh, well, wait till I put the sugar back in the bowl.
Jamie, how did you do it? Were we so far wrong with our charts and psychomath?
Actually, you told me how to do it. Remember you said if there was a recently pioneered society around for you to test, you could set up your standards? Well, all you needed to do was duplicate the kind of person who settled America, or Australia, or California. As an historian, I knew what they were like, and I knew what brought them. So I put out the same bait.
In a pig's eye, you did. How about freedom of religion, freedom from oppression? That had something to do with settling America, didn't it? Isn't that what brought people to this country? I saw that cesspool full of tramps you started with. If there was a Tom Paine or a Ben Franklin among them, I'll eat a whole Rorschach series 1 ink blot at a time.
Rod, you are no historian. Franklin was born here. Paine didn't come over in the first wave. Pioneers are not necessarily young, healthy, or moral. America wasn't founded only by pilgrims. They were actually a minority. We were settled by promoters, bonded servants, British convicts, pickpockets, thieves, French and Spanish pirates. They came here for gold or to beat a hangman's rope. That's the kind of person who settles a new land. Misfits, drunkards, fugitives from justice. Too sick in mind or body to make a go of it where they are.
But what kind of society will they make out of it?
What kind did the sweepings of Newgate make out of America? After a while, they stop shooting each other down in the streets, and civilization catches up with them. For one thing, they get married. And it's amazing what a civilizing influence a wife is.
Won't they be a little sore? After all, you just worked the greatest hoax since...
Since the immigrants came to America because they heard the streets were paved with gold. Well, I'll be going along myself soon.
You?
Yep. Now that they've got a colony going up there, they'll be making history. And besides, I understand there's a wide-open gambling saloon at New Abilene on the Neo-Texas Peninsula. I'm anxious to try my luck on the wheel. I wonder if that pre-war bottle of scotch will stand the acceleration.
Fred Collins again, and I'll be back with a word about X-1 in a moment.
This is Bob Haynes speaking to you from somewhere in the Caribbean. I am aboard a UDT personnel landing craft. That's the Underwater Demolitions Team. We are right now on our way out to rendezvous with United States submarine Sea Lion.
Monitor took you there.
Some men go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. Some people sit on top of flagpoles. But we have a man by the name of Raja Phillips from India who is buried alive right in the center of a furniture store here in Owensboro, Kentucky.
And Monitor took you there. Big events, little events, offbeat events, comedy, music, news, and sports. They're all part of the top variety of entertainment Monitor brings you all weekend long. This is Frank Blair inviting you to join us on Monitor every weekend and Friday nights, too, on most of these NBC stations.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production.
There's excitement in the air at night, and Nightline brings it to you. Hear Nightline with Walter O'Keefe, next on most of these NBC stations.
Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, At the Post by H.L. Gold.
When I come into the Blue Ribbon on 49th Street west of Broadway, I could tell right away nobody told Doc Hawkins about my misfortune. Doc, who ain't one really, writes a daily medical column for the Racing Form, and we're celebrating his being sprung from the alcoholic ward. He got one look at me, and he choked on a piece of gefilte fish.
What happened? What happened? Look at that. Clucker's become a character.
Now, lay off, Doc.
Look at that, a gray flannel suit, a black tie. Clucker, where is your purple and green check sports jacket? Where are your two-tone suede shoes? Why, you've become a character.
That was Zelda's idea. She wanted to make a gentleman out of him.
Wanted to? Why, you two kids got married just before they took, my snakes away. Don't tell me you've, fit already.
You don't know, Doc?
No. What happened?
Well, it was right after you tried to take the warts off the fire hydrant that Zelda started hearing voices. It got real bad.
How bad?
Well, she's at Glendale Center upstate. I just came back from visiting her.
Well, did the psychiatrist give you a diagnosis?
Yeah, I got it memorized. Catatonia dementia precox.
Oh, rough. Very rough. The outlook is never good in such cases.
Maybe they can't help her, but I will.
Now, Clocker, you're a race handicapper. You run the best tip sheet on Broadway. But people are not horses. You've got to think of your public. For instance, what's good at Hialeah, huh? My bar bill is about to be foreclosed, and I can use a long shot.
Those couch artists don't know what's wrong with Zelda. I do.
You do?
Well, almost. I'm so close I can hear the finish line camera clicking.
Now, that's very interesting. Perhaps we can collaborate on an article for the Psychiatric Journal.
All right, look. Look at these charts. Look, here.
Huh?
I use the same system I used to dope the races. Look, Zelda's got catatonia. She used to be a hoofer before we got married, and now she does time steps all day.
Stereotype movements are typical of catatonia.
You don't get it. She does time steps. The first thing you learn in hoofing, over and over. 10 or 15 hours a day. And she keeps talking like she's giving lessons to some jerk kid who can't get it straight. And I hear when these catatonics pull out, they don't remember much or maybe nothing.
Protective amnesia.
They work harder and longer at what they're doing than they ever did when they were regular citizens. And they don't get a red cent for it.
I beg your pardon?
I said they were getting stiffed. Anybody who works that hard ought to get paid.
I don't understand what you're getting at.
What are they knocking themselves out for if it's for free? Doc, I tell you, I miss that mouse. I gotta save her. She can't see or hear us, but she can sure see or hear something. And I'm gonna dope her.
Parker, it's too much for you.
Too much for me, huh? Who was it said Warlock had turned into a dog in his third year? Who was it had 7 winners the opening day at Belmont? You take my word for it, Doc. I'll beat the schizophrenia handicap. hadn't been paying much attention to my tip sheet while I was doping a catatonia dodge. I tell you, I missed Zelda. I missed the bobby pins on the floor and the nylon stuck on a shower rack, the toothpaste tube squeezed from the top. I had to get her back somehow. Next day, I took a cab and went out to that place. I sat in the room and watched her dance. Oh, it was something. Because Zelda was worth watching, even with her eyes blank and her feet shuffling through that simple time step.
Mr. Locke, visiting time is almost up.
All right. Zelda. Listen, Zelda. How long can they take to learn a time step?
She can't hear you.
Look, kid, I don't know who these squares are that you're working for, but tell them if they take you, they got to take me, too. You hear? I had an idea now. I had it doped that Zelda was showing them how to dance, whoever they are. And the only way I could spring her was to find out who was controlling her and what they were after. The first step was to get them interested in me, and what I know about racing, doping horses. So I stood there next to Zelda, and I started to talk. Now, the first thing you got to figure is bloodlines. You take a horse, you got to know back maybe 4 or 5 generations on both sides. Then you got to know where the coat was foaled, what time of year, because all horses are 1 year old on the 1st of January. And there's confirmation, training. You take a horse with good bloodlines, break him in a spring on a hard training surface track, and the first thing you know, you got a horse with a shin splint. Oh, they may cover it up, but if you know it's there. I once knew a horse ran in Hialeah who was scared of flamingo.
What are you doing?
Had a fine record at Gulfstream and Bowie. But when he got down to Hialeah and got one look at the flamingos, he wouldn't run for beans.
Mr. Locke, are you all right?
Shut up, I'm
Mr.
busy.
Locke.
You bet on a horse that's scared of flamingos at Hialeah, and you're going to come in with your tail between your legs. I kept coming back every day. I'd just sit there next to Zelda while she did a time step, and I'd talk about horses over and over. And then finally, I started to hear voices.
Clocker! Clocker! This way, Clocker, come this way. This way, Clocker. Come on now, come with me.
Like it was a fog, I could see the attendant in his white coat, asking me questions, and I couldn't hear him. I knew I just kept on talking about the horses. And then suddenly I wasn't there. I was somewhere else. I was in a big square, and the buildings looked like the new Roosevelt Raceway, all modern. Or maybe like the World's Fair. There were trees and statues, and there were hundreds of people standing around, and they all looked scared. There was a little man with bifocals and a vest with pins and needles in it standing next to me. He looked scared. But I knew it had worked. I was on my way to Zelda.
How did I get here? Excuse me, mister. How did I get here?
I don't know.
I can't take time for pleasure trips. I've got a customer coming in tomorrow for a fitting. She'll positively murder me if her dress isn't ready.
She can't murder you. Not anymore.
You mean we're dead?
Don't ask me, but I don't think you're dead. That much I can tell you. Some of the people in the crowd were complaining they had families to take care of, while others were worried about leaving their businesses. And they all grew quiet when a man climbed up on a big platform in front. He was a very tall and dignified guy, and he had formal clothes and a white beard like the chief mourner at a politician's funeral.
Ladies and gentlemen, please feel at ease. You are not in any danger. No harm will come to you. If you will listen carefully to this orientation lecture, you will know where you are and why.
What is it? I don't understand.
It's a pitch.
Friends, I know you are puzzled at all this. Now let me explain. You've been chosen, yes, carefully screened and selected, to help us in what is undoubtedly the greatest cause of all history. You will learn more about it as we work together in this vast and noble experiment.
What experiment? What is it?
I got it picked. This is a pitch. These guys are out for something. Smells like a con.
Let me state this in its simplest terms. Now, you know that there are billions of stars in the universe and that the stars have planets. A good many of these planets are inhabited. In almost all instances, the dominant form of life is quite different from yours. I am not of your planet or solar system. I am not formed as you see me. My true appearance would seem to be rather confusing to human eyes.
Nuts, get to the point.
The truth is, We are not here, and neither are you. Here is a projection of thought, a hypothetical point in space, a place that exists only by mental force. Actually, our bodies are on our own respective planets.
What's he saying? What does he mean?
Wait, he'll give us the convincer after the build-up.
Our civilization is considerably older than yours. For many of your centuries, we have explored the universe both physically and telepathically, and during this exploration, we discovered your planet. We tried to establish communication, but there were grave difficulties. And it was the time of your dark ages. And I'm sorry to report that those people we did make contact with were generally burned at the stake.
Here it comes. He's getting ready to slip us the sting.
Oh, I don't think you ought to say a thing like that about a fine, decent gentleman. He's obviously very sincere.
The problem we face is that the human race is doomed. The history of your race is a record of incessant wars, each more devastating than the last. And now, finally, man has chained the power of worldwide destruction. The next war, or the one after that, will unquestionably be the end not only of civilization, but of humanity, perhaps even of your entire planet. Then, why have we brought you here? Because man, in spite of his suicidal blunders, is a magnificent race. He must not vanish without leaving a complete record of his achievements. Now, this is the task we must work together on. Each of you has a skill, a talent, a special knowledge we need for the immense record we're compiling. Every area of human society must be covered. And so we need you urgently. Your data will become part of an imperishable social document that shall exist untold eons after mankind has vanished.
Oh, he had a slick con. He had that crowd in the palm of his hand like a small-time grifter selling pearl necklaces on 6th Avenue. They all cheered. They were all flattered to think that they were joining in this vast project to make a record of the human race. After a while, they broke us up into divisions, and I got herded into a building marked Sports and Rackets. They took my name and my occupation like I was applying for unemployment insurance.
Now, here's our problem, Mr. Locke. We're making two kinds of perpetual records. One is written, more precisely, microscribed. The other is a wonderfully exact duplicate of your cerebral pattern, in more durable material than brain matter, of course.
Of course.
The substance we use in place of brain cells absorbs memory quite slowly. But you'll be happy to know that the impression once made can never be lost or erased.
Delighted, tickled to pieces.
I knew you would be. Well, let's proceed, shall we? First, a basic description of horse racing.
I started telling them about horse racing, but they held me down to one sentence. They said I had to repeat it over and over so that recording thing could get it. They had a picture of my body back on Earth lying in a bed in a hospital just saying that one sentence over and over again.
Well, that's enough for today. Isn't it amazing? We have a more detailed record of human society than man himself ever had. Your life, my life, the life of this Zelda, whom you came here to rescue, all are trivial, for we must all die eventually. But the project will last eternally.
You're telling me you know what I'm here for?
To secure the return of your wife. I would naturally be aware that you'd submitted yourself to our control voluntarily. It was in your file that was sent to me by admissions.
Then why did you let me in?
Because, my dear friend, we also...
Look, leave out the friend pitch. I'm here on business.
As you wish. We let you in, as you express it, because you have knowledge that we should include in our archives. We hoped you'd recognize the merit and scope of our undertaking. Most people do once they're told.
Zelda, too?
Oh, yes. Yes, Zelda's extremely cooperative, quite convinced. Would you like to see her?
Yeah, sure I would.
Well, that can be arranged. I'll call the Arts and Entertainment section and arrange a meeting.
Zelda, baby.
Clocker.
Let's get out of here.
Oh, hello, Clocker.
Aren't you glad to see me? I spent months and shot every dime I've got just to find you.
For sure I'm glad to see you, hon, but I can't waste any time. This work is so important.
I want to talk to you. That con artist with the white beard said...
isn't he wonderful, Clocker? Aren't they all wonderful? Regular scientists devoting their whole lives to this terrific cause.
What's so wonderful about that?
They could let the Earth go boom. It wouldn't mean a thing to them. Everybody wiped out, just like there never were any people. Not even as much record of us as the dinosaurs. Gee, wouldn't that make you feel simply awful?
I wouldn't feel a thing. All I'm worried about is us, baby. Who cares about the rest of the world doing a disappearing act?
I do, and so do they. They aren't selfish like some people I could mention.
Selfish? You're darn right I am. Zelda, listen. I'm selfish because I got a wife and I'm nuts about her and I want her back.
I have to help out on this project. It's the least I can do for history.
History? What did history ever do for us? Go turn in your time card, baby. Tell them you got a date with me back on Earth.
No, this is my job as much as theirs. More even. They don't keep anybody here against their will. I'm staying because I want to, Clocker.
But, honey...
Excuse me, I've got to get back. I'm teaching them the soft shoe now.
Are you satisfied now, Mr. Locke?
Listen, take away the doom push and this racket folds. Listen, suppose you're all square. Suppose you're leveling. You're knocking yourself out because your guess is we're going to commit suicide.
But is there any doubt of it? Do you honestly believe the Holocaust can be averted?
I think it can be stopped, yeah. Listen, between these catatonics and me, we could tell them what it's all about. I notice you got people from all over the world here. They get along fine because they have a job to do and don't have time to hate each other. Well, it could be like that back on Earth.
Mr. Locke, we have experimented in the manner you suggest, but a human psychological mechanism defeated us.
Yeah? What was that?
Protective amnesia. They completely and absolutely forgot everything they'd learned here.
Well, what are the odds on me remembering?
Well, you are our first volunteer.
Look, I'll give you a deal. You let me out, and maybe I'll be the first case that didn't get amnesia, and I can tell the world all about this. I'll come back if I lame out. You can pick me up any time you want. But if I make headway, you gotta let Zelda go, too.
That's a very reasonable proposition. We'll lift our control, Mr. Locke, for a suitable time. If you can arouse a measurable opposition to racial suicide, measurable, mind you, then we agree to release your wife and revise our policy completely.
I came to at Glendale. It took me about 2 weeks to convince them that I was all right again. But I had to convince the world that they were throwing a race and that they needed a saliva test. So I started to write it all out in my tip sheet, in and around the horses. Around that time, I ran into Doc.
Clocker, my boy, you've no idea how anxious we were about you. But you're looking fit, I'm glad to say.
Thanks. I wish I could say the same about you and the rest of the world.
No need to worry about us. We'll muddle along somehow.
You think so, huh?
I'm glad to see you've got your tip sheet going again. As long as the bobtails run, who cares what happens to anything else?
Of course, nobody listened to me. I had posters printed telling everybody. I hired sandwich men to walk through the city. I made speeches in Columbus Circle. I told everybody doomsday was near. I sent letters to Congress, to the UN, editors of newspapers. Nobody paid any attention. I sneaked into the balcony of the General Assembly and tried to shout a speech, and they threw me out, very politely. I wrote the whole thing up for a magazine, and they printed it and sent me a check and told me if I had any more fiction, they'd be glad to run it. I kept trying to tell everybody the truth about the catatonics. We ought to go to the hospitals and get ourselves let in and have the aliens take over and show us where we're going. But nobody would listen. And then finally, I went back out to Glendale.
Oh, Mr. Locke, we were wondering when you'd come visit your wife. You been away?
I want my old room back.
But you're perfectly normal.
Give me half hour alone, and you'll be glad to give me my room. Well, here I am back again.
Oh, Mr. Locke.
Okay, I'll give you all the rest of the dope on racing. You won't have any trouble with me.
Then you're convinced you failed.
I'm no dummy. I know when I'm licked.
So do we, Mr. Locke. Naturally, you have no way of detecting the effect you've had. We do. The result is that because of your experiment, we're gladly revising our policy.
Huh? Is this a rib? Nobody listened to me.
Oh, but they did. Visits to catatonics have increased considerably. When the visitors are alone with our human associates, they tentatively follow the directions you gave them in your article. Not all do, to be sure. Only those who feel as strongly about being with their loved ones as you do about your wife. We've accepted 4 voluntary applicants.
You mean I made it?
That's right. Before long, we shall have to increase our staff as the numbers of voluntary applicants increases geometrically, and then we'll be able to release the first group to go back and carry the message. Whenever you care to, Mr. Locke, you and your wife are free to leave.
Okay, but I'll tell you what. I owe you plenty. I'll help make that record before I go. I'll teach you how to dope the horses. Is that what you want?
Why, yes.
All right, then let's go. The quicker we get started, the quicker we can get back.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features A Touch of E-Flat by Joe Gibson, a story with a warning. Never let anyone point any weapon at you, even something as harmless-looking as a water pistol. It may be a cooling gun. Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you At the Post, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by H.L. Gold and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in our cast were Frank Maxwell as the clocker, and Thomas as his time-steppin' wife, Zelda, Arnold Moss as the otherworldly one, John Griggs as the doc who wasn't one, really, and Sam Raskin as the confused little tailor with his mouth full of pins. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Kenneth McGregor and is an NBC Radio Network production.
In just a moment, X-1. But first, how does one man get himself into so many impossible situations? Well, this is a question you'll probably ask yourself tomorrow night when you follow another hilarious misadventure of Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Yes, Gildy's eye for the ladies and his impulsive temperament managed to entangle him in a web of riotous circumstances. Be sure to join the romantic water commissioner, his neighbors, Judge Hooker, Mr. Peavy, and all the loyal Gildersleeve household as they romp through another episode of The Great Gildersleeve tomorrow night. And now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
X-1 salutes our Philadelphia station. Its new call letters, WRCV.
Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of a future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight's story, Skulking Permit, by Robert Sheckley.
August 16th, year 2204. 2. Central Colonial Administrative Authority, Alpha Centauri Sector. From Colonial Contact Inspector 37. Subject, Planet New Delaware. Following the procedure outlined in manual for contact with lost colonies, Open communication by interstellar radio with New Delaware. This is the first contact established in 200 years. And proceeding on overdrive for personal investigation. Situation on New Delaware appears unconventional, to say the least.
Hi there. Hi, Billy.
Hi, Tom. Got no time for talking this morning. Got to get this sign up.
It's a real pretty sign. No aliens allowed within city limits. What's an alien?
Beats me. The mayor told me to put it up. He says to me, Billy Painter, you're chief of police, so I want you to paint me a big sign and set it right in front of the town hall.
Aliens. Aliens. Oh, it's a real pretty word.
Billy Painter, I thought I told you.
Take it easy, Mayor. I put the sign up.
It's not that, it's the church.
I painted it just like you told me.
I know, but you painted it wrong.
I painted that church with a nice bright red. What's wrong with that?
I looked it up. It's a little red schoolhouse, not church house. Churches are supposed to be white.
Can't keep track of them all. Schoolhouse, church house, jail, post office. Got along fine enough in New Delaware for 200 years without them.
I know, but we need them now, and we haven't got much time. Where are the carpenter boys?
I saw Sam and Marv over at Ed Beer's Tavern.
Well, Billy, you go down there and tell them that they've got to build us a little schoolhouse, and you paint it red. It's very important.
Mayor, when do I get a police chief badge? I read that a police chief always gets a badge.
Make yourself one. Now go on.
All right, then.
Oh, it sure is hot here. I don't know why the inspector couldn't have come in winter. Oh, Tom Fisher.
Yeah?
Tom, I've got a job for you, a very important job.
Well, now, look, Mayor, I'm on vacation. Fish won't be back in these waters.
No vacation, not now. He's due any day. Tom, how would you like to be a criminal?
I don't know. What's a criminal?
Well, come over to my house and I'll explain. I've got to appoint a criminal, and it looks to me like you're it. You don't mind sitting right next to the interstellar radio, do you? I'm waiting for a call.
Thought that thing was broken.
No, it wasn't broken. My father told me always to leave the monitor on recording in case. Just didn't seem to be anybody calling, not for 200 years. Not since that war back on Earth. It's time now. You just listen, Tom. They said that they would call just at this time.
New Delaware, do you hear me? New Delaware, come in immediately.
Yes, we hear you. He's very touching.
This is Colonial Inspector 37. As I told you in my broadcast yesterday, there's been no contact with the outer colonies for some centuries due to unsettled conditions here. But that's over, except for a little mopping up. Now, New Delaware is still a colony of Earth and subject to her laws. Do you acknowledge that status?
Oh, yes. We called a town meeting last night and talked it all over. We're still loyal to Earth.
Excellent. That saves us the trouble of sending an expeditionary force to reconquer you. However, as Colonial Contact Inspector, I will be obliged to make a personal investigation to make sure that you conform fully to the customs, institutions, and traditions of Imperial Earth.
Imperial? That's funny. All the books talk about Earth as a united democracy.
Well, a lot can change in 200 years. And, of course, there's been a war.
Do you hear me, New Delaware?
Oh, yes, sir, we hear you.
You realize, of course, there is room for only one intelligent species in the universe. Man. All others must be suppressed, wiped out. We can tolerate no aliens. I'm sure you understand, General.
I'm not a general. I'm a mayor.
You're in charge, aren't you?
Yes.
Then you're a general. Now be sure you're running an Earth colony, General, with no radical departures from the norm, such as free will, free speech, free elections, or anything else on the proscribed list. It is impossible to administer an empire where everyone does as he pleases. Get your colony in order, General. I will call to inspect you in exactly 1 week. That is all.
Well, you see how it is, Tom. Now, Tom, about your job, I'm appointing you town criminal.
I don't see why there has to be a criminal.
That's a very important part of Earth society. All the books say so, Tom. The criminal is as important as the postman or the police chief. He works against society. If you don't have people working against society, how can you have people working for it? How can there be any more important job?
I don't want to do it.
Now, be reasonable, Tom. Put yourself in my position. This inspector comes and he meets Billy Painter, our police chief. He asks to see the jail. Then he says, no prisoners? How can I hold my head up and tell him that we don't have any crime? No crime, he'll say. But Earth colonies always have crime. Don't you see that, Tom? Right there, the whole thing falls through. He'll see that we're not truly Earth-like. We're faking it. We're aliens. And you heard what he said about being rough on aliens.
Well, yeah, but why me?
Can't spare anyone else. And you've got narrow eyes. Criminals always have narrow eyes.
Well, they aren't that narrow.
Tom, please, we're all doing our part. You want to help now, don't you?
Oh, I suppose so.
Fine. You're our criminal. Here, I've got this paper all made out for you, just to make it legal.
Skulking permit.
Know all men by these presents that Tom Fisher is a duly authorized thief and murderer. He is hereby required to skulk in dismal alleys, haunt places of low repute, and to break the law.
What's the law?
I'll let you know as fast as I make them up. All Earth colonies have laws.
Oh, well, what do I do?
You steal and kill. Look, I'll give you a couple of books on it. Steal as much as you like. One murder should be enough. Don't overdo it.
It don't sound sensible somehow.
Well, you can work up to it, Tom. Why don't you start off easy, like by haunting a place of low repute?
Hello, Tom. I hear you're our official criminal now.
That's right. I have a beer.
How's it going?
Well, I've been studying. I can't put my finger on it yet.
Hey, did you get the weapons Mary Carpenter sent over?
Yeah, a hatchet, a spear, 2 knives, and a blackjack.
Uh-huh.
I stuck myself with a spear, Ed. The whole thing ain't sensible to me. I can't figure out what's the purpose of crime. What do people get out of it?
Here's the beer. I tried a new route this time. Tell me how you like it.
Very dry. Less filling.
How come you ain't out thieving now, Tom?
Oh, I'm planning. My permit says I have to haunt places of low repute, and that's why I'm here.
Well, this ain't no place of low repute.
You serve the worst meals in town.
I know. My wife can't cook. But there's a real friendly atmosphere here. The folks like it, Tom.
It's all changed, Ed. I'm making this tavern my headquarters. It's now a criminal lair.
Try to keep a nice place, and a lot of thanks you get.
Hi, Tom. You steal anything yet?
Oh, well, not yet, Mary, no.
I'll have a Paracuda, Ed. Don't worry, Tom. You'll catch on. If anyone in this village can learn, you can.
Sure, we got confidence in you, Tom.
Why don't you steal something right now, Tom? Go ahead.
Well, suppose I could.
I brought some geefers in my basket. They're real ripe. You could steal those.
Well, they are nice-looking geefers, Mary. Real tasty.
Go ahead, Tom. Steal it.
Well, These are nice-looking geefers. Mind if I take one out at the light and look at it?
No, Tom, you go right ahead.
Now, just a minute there.
Hi, Billy. What do you have?
I'm on official police business. What were you doing with that geefer, Tom?
Just looking at it.
I don't think you were just looking at it, Tom. I think you were planning on stealing it. You're a suspicious character. I think I better lock you up for further questioning.
No, Billy. What are you doing?
I'm doing my duty, Mayor. Tom here is looking mighty suspicious. The book says...
I know what the book says. I gave you the book. You can't go arresting Tom, not yet.
But there's no other criminal in the village.
Oh, Billy, don't you understand? This village needs a criminal record. Acting suspiciously isn't a crime.
All right, but I was just trying to do my job. I'll still get you, Tom. Remember, crime does not pay.
Hey, that's a real slick way of putting it, isn't it?
I thought it was kind of catchy. I read it in the book.
Well, Tom, go ahead now. Steal something.
Well, I'm not in the mood anymore.
Well, better get to it soon, and don't forget the murder.
Is it really necessary?
Oh, I wish it weren't, but this colony has been here for over 200 years, and we haven't had a single murder. Not one.
I suppose we should have one. No, I'll take care of it.
Good boy, Tom. We're counting on you. Billy, I want you to paint up a couple hundred signs saying private property, no trespassing, violators will be prosecuted, and a dozen saying speed limit 35 miles an hour.
Why? All we got is those quag horses, and they won't go faster than a walk.
Never mind. You got to have a speed limit. It's civilized. Well, that's the last of the signs, Billy. You might as well get some sleep.
Aren't you going home, Mayor?
No, I've got to get out to Fred Farmers. I appointed him postmaster. Since nobody ever sends letters around here, I promised to help him write all those letters.
Well, good night, Mayor. I guess I better be making my rounds.
Yeah, good night, Billy.
Who's that? Tom? Tom Fisher? You out thieving? Who's there? Don't move, or I'll shoot. Hey, Tom, come back.
Hey, what's going on out there? What's all the racket?
It's the town criminal, Ed. I think I heard him robbing your house.
Yeah?
He's made his getaway now, but don't you worry. I'll get him yet.
All right, but get him in the morning, will you? Some of us are trying to sleep. Morning, Marv. How's the schoolhouse coming?
Fair. Would have come along better if I had my saw.
Your saw?
Yeah. I left it leaning against my door last night. Wasn't there this morning, Tom.
Oh, yeah, your saw. Well, you know how it is, Marv. I had to practice some skulking last night.
Yeah, sure. Say, do you suppose I could use the saw for a while, just for an hour or two?
Well, I don't know. It's legally stolen, you know.
Well, I'd give it back. I wouldn't keep anything that was legally stolen.
Well, it's in the house with the rest of the loot.
Okay, I'll go borrow it then.
Tom, I've been looking for you.
Morning, Mayor.
Did you steal my bronze plaque?
I certainly did.
Oh, well, I was just wondering. You did it just in time. You see up there?
What?
Up there, the black dot near the rim of the sun.
Oh, what is it?
Well, I'll bet it's the inspector's ship. You got your murder planned? Time is running short, Tom. The inspector may land any hour now. That darn radio has been yapping at me something about a revolt at Deng 4, and all Earth colonies are to prepare for conscription, whatever that is. So let's get that killing over with.
I don't know, though. Murder.
Now, look, Tom, criminals on Earth commit dozens of murders a day and think nothing of it. All this village wants of you is one little killing. Is that too much to ask? Now, who will it be, Tom?
Oh, I guess I'll kill George Waterman.
Why?
Why? Why not?
What's your motive?
I thought you just wanted to murder. Who said anything about a motive?
We can't have a fake murder. On Earth, every murderer has a motive.
Well, I don't like the way George walks, never did, and he's noisy.
No. That might be good enough for a crime of passion, but you're a legal criminal. Tom, you're ruthless, cold-blooded, and cunning. You can't kill someone just because you don't like the way he walks. That's silly.
I better think the whole thing over.
Well, don't take too long. Oh, and Tom, don't forget to leave clues. They're very important.
Have another beer, Tom.
I don't mind if I do.
Hey, how do you like the way I fixed the tavern over? I hung up dirty curtains, you know.
Oh.
That makes it a dismal retreat. Because I figured if this was going to be your headquarters, it ought to be a real criminal's lair. How do you like the bloodstains on the floor?
That's only Billy Painter's rootberry red paint.
Oh, I know, but it looks like bloodstains. Hey, how's the murder coming?
Oh, not so good. No, I've been thinking about it, Ed. You realize I'm supposed to kill somebody? I'm supposed to make somebody cease to exist. I mean, like, take Marv Carpenter. Here he is today working on a schoolhouse, big fella. Now, if I kill him, well, he wouldn't work anymore. I've been trying to imagine it. Marv Carpenter lying on the ground with his eyes glaring open and his mouth twisted and never going to hold a piece of wood in his hands again or never going to sing a song or have a beer or anything. Well, it just made me kind of sick. I mean, I could go on with the thieving, but murder...
Yeah, I know, but, Tom, it's your job. It's for the good of the village.
Murder. I better have another beer. Hey, what's that?
That must be the inspector's ship landing. Come on, let's go see.
Perimeter guard, advance. Set up portable generators and rocket launchers. All personnel restricted to immediate area of the ship. Sidearms to be worn at all times. And guards at battle station.
Welcome to New Delaware.
Thank you, General. I'm the inspector. This is Mr. Grant, my political advisor.
Is this the capital of the colony?
Well, I'm afraid there's only this village on the whole of New Delaware.
Only one? Now, Grant, I told you when we surveyed the planet we were wasting our time.
Patience. There's always an advantage in every situation.
If you gentlemen are ready...
Ready?
You're going to inspect our village, aren't you?
Inspect? I can see it all.
Why, of course, General. We're ready. Let's inspect your village.
You see, we've got it all. Jail, post office, church, little red schoolhouse. Oh, we're very normal, very earthy.
Rent? I have my efficiency rating to think of. This place is worthless. No smelting, no heavy industry, no atomics, no taxation, no... They don't have anything.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Inspector. If you'll excuse us, General.
Of course.
I'll be downgraded at the next colonial board. Why, this place is a utopia. It's subversive. We ought to blow it right out of the sky.
No, don't be despondent, Inspector.
But this whole trip is a total waste of time.
Not entirely. New Delaware has a very important commodity for us.
What? You saw them? Hulking peasants? Nothing but farmers.
Yes, strong, healthy farmers. Good cannon fodder.
But...
Oh. Ooh, let me take over. General.
Yes, sir?
How many able young men are there in the village between the ages of 15 and 60?
Why?
You see, General, Imperial Earth is engaged in a war. The colonies in Deng 4 are revolting against the authority of Mother Earth.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
We need good, healthy fighting men. Our reserves are depleted.
We wish to give all loyal colonists a chance to fight for Mother Earth. We're sure you won't refuse. Most colonies welcome a little conscription. Cleanses the blood, reduces crime.
Crime? Oh, I thought that would come up. We've taken care of that. I appointed...
Now, you see, Grant, 60, 70, perhaps 100 recruits. Not such a waste of time coming here at all.
Perhaps not.
Sergeant, detail a squad of 50 men armed with portable heat generators to post a guard in the village. All right, Mr. Mayor. Suppose we go talk this problem over.
Tom, you out there?
Yeah. I've been skulking out here all day. I'm hungry.
Well, I brought you supper. The mayor sent you a message, Tom. He said to hurry up at the murder. He's been stalling the inspector and that nasty little Grint man, but they're going to ask him. They're sure to.
All right. And I'll get around to it. Tonight. Hey, wait a minute.
Oh, hello, Tom. What are you doing?
Well, you said there had to be a murder, so
Now, wait. I didn't mean me. It can't be me.
Well, why not?
Well, for one thing, somebody has to talk to the inspector. He's waiting for me. Someone has to
Billy
show him
Painter
how to...
can do that. You think a knife would be more fatal in the heart or in the throat? Well, nothing personal, of course.
Wait. If there's nothing personal, then you have no motive.
Oh. Well, I guess I could think of one. I've been pretty sore about you appointing me town criminal.
It was the mayor who appointed you, wasn't it?
Well, sure.
Then look, I'm not a mayor anymore. I'm a general. Look, it's stars, gold braid.
Well, what's that got to do with it?
Well, you missed the ceremony this afternoon, Tom. Inspector said I had to wear a general's uniform. It was a very friendly ceremony. All the Earthmen were grinning. They were winking at me and at each other.
Oh, congratulations. But you were the mayor when you appointed me criminal, so my motive still holds.
Yes, but killing a general isn't murder, it's mutiny.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's just that I've read up on it, and you haven't. Well, I better get back. The inspector wants a lot of the men that he can draft.
Are you sure this murder is necessary?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Just not me.
No luck, huh, Tom?
I just can't do it. Ed, I can't kill anybody in the village. I grew up with them. I've worked with them. I've drunk root beer with them. I don't have any motive for killing any of them.
I know, but you do have to commit a murder, Tom. You don't want to let the village down.
But I can't kill the people I've known all my life.
No, I suppose not.
Wait a minute. I got an idea. Ed, suppose I kill the inspector.
Well, what's your motive?
Oh, it would be a very terrible crime. I'd be killing for glory, for fame, for notoriety, and it'll show Earth how earthy New Delaware really is. Why, they'll say crime is so bad here that a criminal actually killed their inspector on the very first day.
Tom, that's just the sort of thing a master criminal would do.
Oh, you think it's a good idea, huh?
I think it's great, Tom. But how are you going to do it?
Well, one of those soldiers got drunk on a bottle of your Keebler juice and dropped his gun. I picked it up.
Oh, is that a gun?
Yeah, you push this button here.
Hey, look out!
I'm sorry, Ed.
Now I'll have to get the carpenter boys to fix that hole in the roof.
Oh, well, I'll be careful.
Did you kill the soldier?
Of course not. No point in killing the wrong man. Well, I better get going. I'll wait for him on the path between the mayor's house and the ship.
Good luck, Tom.
Thanks.
Up, 2, 3, 4. Keep in line there. Ah, what a sloppy crew. All left feet.
Well, it's a nice night's work. With those landing parties dying like flies, we can use every new man we can get.
Don't say that.
What, are you afraid the mayor will hear me? Don't be ridiculous. It's a completely passive population. Sheep-like, obedient.
Look at them. No two of them in step.
Well, what do you expect from backward agrarians? Wait till those sergeants get hold of them at the base. They'll whip them into first-class fighting men in no time.
Halt! Stand and deliver!
What's that? Why, it's Tom.
Hands up, Inspector.
Huh?
I got you covered. Now, the rest of you drop your guns and move out of the way.
What? Now, see here.
Now, go on now, drop those guns.
Now, what's the meaning of this?
And who are you?
Tom Fisher. I'm the town criminal. I'm going to kill the inspector. Now, please move out of the way.
Criminal? So that's what the mayor was prattling about.
Now, I know we haven't had any murders in 200 years, but I'm changing that now. Now, move out of the way.
Well, I suppose I'd better get out of the line of fire.
No, wait a minute, wait.
Now, don't move. I know just how to do it. I've been thinking about it. Now, I'll push this button, and you'll die. You'll fall down on the path, and your eyes will open, and your mouth twisted, and no air going in and out of your lungs, and no beat to your heart, and I can't do it. Here's your gun. Take it. I don't want it.
Quick, after him. Sergeant, take a squad and search the forest.
Take it easy, Inspector. This whole planet is forest. 10,000 men couldn't find him if he doesn't want to be.
But I'll have him hanged on the spot.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
Sergeant, have the entire ship's company turned out. General, I want all your people out looking for him. Shoot on sight. Kill him instantly.
Oh, we couldn't do that, although we appreciate the compliment.
What? That man...
He's a criminal. That's what I'm trying to explain. I appointed him. We had to have one.
You what?
You mean you had no criminals?
Well, I'm afraid not. Oh, I'm terribly ashamed. You see, we knew how uncivilized we were, and that's why we did it. I'm dreadfully embarrassed that Tom couldn't handle the job.
Well, why did you give the assignment to that particular man?
Well, I figured if anyone could kill, Tom could. He's a fisherman, you know. Pretty gory work. Oh.
And he wasn't able to kill the inspector.
Well, we just haven't had to kill anything for 200 years except fish. The only animals on New Delaware are small grass eaters, and they're not good to eat, so we never kill any of them.
Then the rest of you would be equally unable to kill?
We wouldn't even get as far as Tom did.
I want that man found.
Forget about it, Inspector.
What?
We'd better get away from here. You want men in our army who can't kill?
Oh.
Think of it. The morale problem. The possibility of infection. One man in a key position endangering a key ship, or maybe a whole fleet because he can't kill. It isn't worth the risk, Inspector.
Yes, sir. I see what you mean.
Order your troops back to the ship. We'll take off at once.
Tom, you can come out now. Tom, they're gone.
He's hiding around here somewhere, Mayor.
Yeah. Tom!
Here I am. I'm sorry I bungled it.
Well, don't feel bad about it. It was an impossible job.
I'm afraid it was. I thought that just possibly you could swing it, but you can't be blamed, Tom. There's not another man in the village who could have done the job even as well.
What are we going to do with all those buildings, Mayor? The jail, the post office, the little red schoolhouse, the church?
Well, I think we'll build a playground for the kids with swings and slides and sandboxes for them.
Another playground?
Surely, why not?
Well, I guess I won't be needing my skulking permit anymore.
No, I guess not. Oh, well, we did our best.
I had the chance, then I let you all down.
It's not your fault, Tom. Look how long it took Earth to get civilized. Thousands of years. And we were trying to do it in 2 weeks.
Well, we'll just have to go back to being uncivilized.
Yeah.
Well, we better get back to the village. Looks like rain.
Well, soon I'll start fishing again. Say.
What is it, Tom?
Oh, it's too late now, but it's too bad I didn't think of it before. I might have been able to go through with it.
Think of what, Tom?
I think I could have done it. If I'd only had the sense to think of the inspector as a fish. Well, it's too late now. Guess he's just a big one that got away.
You've just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features an unusual story by James E. Gunn, Cylona, a story of what happened when crime suddenly invaded a crimeless society, and where the only way to catch a thief was to manufacture a thief. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Skulking Permit, a story from the pages of Galaxy, written by Robert Sheckley and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Dick Hamilton, Wendell Holmes, Joe DeSantis, Joseph Boland, Alan Hewitt, Bill Quinn, Mandel Kramer, and Ruby Dee. Your announcer, Jack Costello. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Let's visit Fibber McGee and Molly tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
This is Nightline, your tie line to the world, and this is Walter O'Keefe. Tonight, a visit to worlds strangely different from ours, the world of the future, the world of X-1. Now, here is the future, X-1.
Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, Shock Troop. But first, hear this. Saturday, November 30th, an overflow crowd is expected to jam Municipal Stadium in Philadelphia for the 58th contest in a series that each year brings to a climax the greatest rivalry in college football. Saturday, November 30th, Army versus Navy. And you have a seat on the 50-yard line as Monitor brings you this gridiron. Mel Allen and Al Helfer will describe all the action, the excitement, the color of the game, as Army pits its bruising running attack against Navy's rugged defense and expert passing. You and your family won't want to miss the big Army-Navy football game, Saturday, November 30th, on Monitor. And you'll want to stay with Monitor for a weekend of sparkling and diversified entertainment. Celebrities, music, features, news, and sports. They're all on Monitor all weekend long. So start your weekend right with Monitor on Friday night and stay with Monitor all weekend long over most of these same NBC radio stations. And now, X-1 and tonight's story, Shock Troop.
In all his 7 major campaigns, Commander Zeram Lassen had never faced anything like this. First, there was the heat, agonizing, insufferable heat. Then there were the jolts, the convulsions. But most unbearable of all was the cross pulse, the interminable, monotonous thump-thump of the cross pulse.
Come in. Hello, Perrock. Close the bulkhead. This heat's driving me mad.
Zarium, I think we ought to abandon this project.
Abandon?
As chief psychotechnician, I recommend it.
Oh? On what do you base this?
This macroorganism is unlike anything we've ever tried to colonize before. It's much too complicated.
Complicated? Perrock, I've colonized life forms on 7 other worlds, and each time I've been advised to turn back.
I know your record, Zarine, but this creature is different.
How?
Well, for one thing, it has a highly organized psychoelectric system. The shock waves are fantastic. I've already lost 3 technicians.
These are shock troops. They know the risk.
And for another
Perrock,
thing...
you're a fine scientist, but you're no leader of troops. This creature we've invaded will be subdued and brought under positive permanent control. We will achieve thermobiological conditioning to reduce the heat. We will achieve damping to muffle the crossbeat. And we will establish neuromuscular controls. And we will do all these things because I say we will. Now come along. We'll inspect the tunnels. Ready?
Yes. I'll open the bulkhead.
Feel that heat.
Well, the thermo crews are doing everything they can to pull oxygen from the separators.
Tell them to work faster. What's the status of the control panel?
I'll see. Mandor, sir, what's the status of the control panel?
We've tapped into motor fibers 1 through 46, Chief. We'll be ready for the central selector hookup very soon.
What about optical auditory intercept?
We're still trying to tap into the subject's visual system, Commander. The screens are set up, but we haven't been able to run a line from the main circuit.
Why not?
The charge in the main trunks is too potent, sir. Our instruments won't take the surges of current.
Then install transformers or resistances. Now get it down.
But, sir, 2 crews working in this heat with that noise.
I don't care about the heat or the noise. It is absolutely essential that we hook up visual intercept. I want you to...
Convulsions!
Hit the stanchions! Hang on!
It's passed.
I've never seen them quite this bad. How do you suppose causes them?
I don't know. I suspect they're reflex actions.
Sir?
What?
Do you suppose this creature knows we're inside it?
Ceaselessly, the shock troops worked inside the host creature, burrowing through capillaries, tapping into nerves, trying desperately to intercept the intelligence and sensations so they might bring it under control. Oxygen was pulled from the separators to cool the tunnels where Commander Lassen's troops worked.
Yes?
Sir, we phased the interior to feedback. We're ready to try for an image on the visual screens.
Excellent.
What about vocal auditory?
Completely phased. We haven't broken the speech code yet, but all sounds are clearly audible.
Blast that crossbeat. Can't the crews do something to muffle it?
We're trying. We don't dare go into the main arteries, not yet at least.
Can't they calcify?
They're trying, Zarine. We've got calcification crews working like demons trying to harden the central blood vessels.
Very well. Lieutenant, is the screen ready?
Yes, sir. Does the commander wish to monitor himself?
Yes. These are standard controls, I assume?
Yes, sir. Focus is this knob. Brightness control is at the right.
Very good. Now, switch on, and we'll see if we can see what this creature sees. A little more focus.
Something's coming through.
It isn't a clear enough image. Bring up the contrast. There.
Well?
It appears that our host is in an enclosed space of some sort. From the orderly flow of articles across the screen, I would say it was moving aimlessly. As an item for resting on, it appears. In the background, a blurred pattern of light and dark stripes. Now, let's hear the auditory reception. May as well get the decoding section working on it.
I'll switch it on, sir. The creature doesn't seem to be vocalizing.
Now, what's the noise?
I believe that's a respiratory sound, sir, made by the creature's oxygen plant.
I'll try to eliminate it. Filter it out.
Yes, sir.
Doc, I tell you, I'm sick.
It's vocalizing.
I'm not... I'm not trying to pull anything, Doc. There's something wrong inside me. Honest. Doc, please.
Try to break down the pattern. I want to know what the creature is communicating.
Yes, sir.
Well, Perrock, do you still think we should turn back?
We've tapped into the creature's communication system, Zerim. I think controlling it is going to be another matter.
We'll return to X-1 and Shock Troop in just a moment. But first... Now back to X-1 and Shock Troop.
Inside the subject, the work continued hour after hour, day after day. Inside the control room, Commander Lassen was haggard and weary. Outside, the crews labored in the tunnels, calcifying blood vessels, tapping into sensory nerves, tying circuits across sympathetic nerve fibers, and still no positive control.
Zerim?
Oh, Perrock, what's happening?
Well, we're making slow progress, Zerim. Between the heat and the cross pulse, the men are beginning to crack up. They need a rest.
Anyone caught loafing on the job will be fed into the disposal units. Those are my orders.
Isn't that a bit hard?
Are you questioning my authority?
Yes, I think you've been working too hard.
I'll have you... Listen.
What?
The silence. They've done it. Modification section is muffled with the crossbeat.
You're right.
What a relief. Come on, let's try the audiovisual again. Maybe we'll be able to hear something now.
There's a picture coming in.
It's the same picture. Blurry, barred pattern. Objects for sitting and reclining. Switch on the auditory.
Right. It's vocalizing.
Listen.
I guess I didn't. It happened all of a sudden. This pain in my heart. Like it slowed down. I'm sick. There's something wrong with me.
If only decoding would crack the speech pattern so we knew what it was saying.
There seems to be another macroorganism in the room with it. Dressed in white, it seems.
Yes, I see.
I'm not faking, Doctor. You gotta do something.
I want the speech pattern given number one priority. No time for... That's condition red.
Commander, a vein is ruptured in Tunnel C. There's a leukocyte breakthrough.
Get the guns. I want a coagulant crew in there at once.
There are hundreds of the monsters, Commander. Shall we seal off the tunnel?
And lose weeks of calcifying? Come on, we'll try to coagulate.
The commander joined the rush of frenzied emergency troops rushing into the corridor. Ahead, crews were lugging hand sterilizers and broad-spectrum coagulators. Inside the tunnel, the scene was bedlam. There was a break in the wall, hemorrhaging profusely. Crewmen waded knee-deep in the nauseous sea of thrombin. Red corpuscles knocked them off balance. Every so often, a sickening gray leukocyte would rear up and embrace a crewman in a grip of acid death.
We'll have to retreat. The thrombin's rising. Lieutenant, give the order to fall back and seal off the tunnel.
Yes, sir. Fall back! Seal the tube! Fall back!
The struggle continued. New tunnels were formed. More nerves